Hello everyone, and welcome back to Spoiler Alert. Let me undefinite unmute myself, still waiting on audio. How is everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. So, I guess I'll just wait for I'll wait for audio to actually be here so I can start. But, oh, you know what? Might actually help if I, started my YouTube music that I pulled up. Some light Studio Ghibli inspired lo-fi. Mark everything as red on the Discord. That was my knee popping.
And I'm here.
Hello!
Hello!
It was so funny. I
missed your knee popping.
I was sitting here eating my hot fries, and I'm like watching the timer go down on the intro, and I was like, oh crap, like I better finish up what's in my mouth.
I should have a snack. I don't have a snack. I might grab some grapes at one point, but we'll see.
Okay, so back for volume 3. So we read chapters 8 through 11.
And don't mind my chat making me think that I was supposed to read chapter 12, bro. I panicked. I'm like, I didn't read chapter 12.
Because I was like, we're only doing 4 chapters a month. And so I was like, okay. I was like, 4 chapters, so I was like, that's 8, 9, 10, and 11. I was like, we're good. That's why I clarified earlier.
We're good.
I was like,
We're good. Yeah.
Okay. So.
What is this?
Huh?
You're supposed to read into chapter 13. No, that's a lie. Okay, sorry. Ignore me, ignore them. We only read to chapter 11.
4 chapters. 4 chapters.
8 to 13 or 4? No. 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10... Which whole... I'm confused.
It's gonna be really interesting.
Isn't that 3 chapters? 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11? Now, you know what? It doesn't matter.
No, it's not like time. It's whole chapters. So chapter 8, 9, 10, and 11. Those are 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay,
4 chapters.
Yeah. 4 chapters.
Audio, bro. Don't glitch out on me.
AudioIgnis is not working. I cannot do math.
I am curious though. So, okay, chapters 1 through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait. Did we only read 3 chapters to begin with?
Yeah, the first, because we started it like a week late. So
okay, that confused me. I was like, wait a second. I was like, we're off on the numbers. No, so the first one was 1 through 3, then it was 4 through 7. Now it's 8 through 11.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see how many sessions we'll actually get out of this. Okay. Chapters?
How many chapters are there in the book, actually?
That's why I was like, let me check. 21?
What's the last chapter? Oh, wait. From the front for me, it has it. 21. Yeah, 21.
Okay,
21.
So 12, 13, 14. 12, 13, 14, 15.
I feel like reading chapter titles
16.
is spoilers in and of itself. I'm not going to read the chapter titles.
18, 19. Okay, so we're going to end up with a little bit of a conundrum. So if we continue on doing 4 chapters a month, then we will have... So next one is going to be 12 through 15. And then it'll be 16 through 19. And then the last one will be 20 and 21.
Okay.
So maybe the next 2 we should do 5?
Like early or... Yeah, we could do that.
Should we do fewer or more chapters?
I don't know.
Because if we did 3 per... Well, no, because that would end up with 4 at the end. You know what? This is a conversation
the other thing too, right? I mean, you're right. I was gonna say also more chapters means longer streams. So that would
this is true.
Alex says more.
Okay, so
we
then...
need to learn to combine our chat so you can read these too.
So we're gonna end up with some really long streams because right now our streams sit at about like 3 hours.
Yeah, these take a while. So if we do more chapters, it'll be longer stream of discussing the chapters. If we do less, it'll be shorter streams.
But more streams.
But more streams. I don't know. We'll decide later, you guys.
We'll figure it out later. Okay, so chapter 8, in which Sophie leaves the castle in several directions at once. This one was hilarious.
Gonna stream long anyways. Why not utilize the time? I mean, because I don't know.
Because 3 hours is a long time for me to sit and talk. Like, my throat starts to hurt after these streams, so I'm like,
Rose is not used to the long stream times
no,
like me.
No. I work in an office for a living. I don't talk all day.
Yeah. I'm the one who streams for like 6 hours.
Like, I think the longest stream I've ever done was like 5 hours. And that was just because I was like obsessed with, I think it was Subnautica.
You know, if you ever join me for Bud versus Bot, that usually takes like 6 hours. Just to warn you.
Well, we'll have to, how does anybody get roped into that?
I don't know, I've managed to rope quite a few people into it.
Okay, anywho, we're on a tangent. Okay, let's see.
Totally different, yeah. No, chapter 8.
Chapter 8. Okay, let's see. So, I kind of had to go back for a refresher.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's see. Chapter 7, we left off. And... Oh, yeah. So, he's trying to...
Like the scarecrow, right?
No, he's trying to convince her to go talk to the king to blacken his name, because he doesn't want to...
Oh, that's right.
Because he doesn't want to do it. And...
Yeah.
So, Calcifer, she had run from the scarecrow, and the castle, like, was going super fast, and Calcifer was, like, stupidly tired. So that's, but then it left off with the, you can go to the king.
Yep.
Let's see. So, to Sophie's relief, Calcifer blazed out bright and cheerful the next morning. So, he's back. He's alive.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's interesting, like, I like the relationship that Howl and Calcifer have, because Howl's always, like, he's always kind of making fun of him a little, but, like a sibling sort of way.
Yeah.
Or, like, your old buddies. He calls him an old ball of gas. And it's very interesting.
I like how they talk to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Howl loves his clothes, but it, like, purposefully says that he, like, with his sleeves trailing in the ash. So, like, he cares, yet doesn't care. And I think this actually comes up later when they're talking about, like, how can you tell that he doesn't love her?
Oh, yeah.
So, when it comes to people that he cares about, he's less uptight. And so, like, he's talking to Calcifer, he's getting down on his level, and he's literally dragging his, like, fancy sleeves through the ashes, just, like, all willy-nilly.
Good point. I didn't think about it like that.
I, like, just had that thought. I was like, wait, I read that later. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that actually makes sense.
Because Calcifer's, like, a good friend of his, so he's, I mean, they're in that contract, but he doesn't care as much about, like, all of his preening and his being pretty whenever it's people that he cares about.
Yeah.
It's like when I met my husband. The first day I met him, makeup, hair done nice coordinated outfit. Next time I saw him, literally the next day, baggy t-shirt, sweatpants, we hung out all day. Yeah. And then I met his parents, and ironically it was Christmas Eve, and that was one of the most awkward things ever. Anywho.
At least Christmas Eve, maybe it could have been a little bit fun, right?
I mean, no, it was a shock. Like, I didn't even know it was Christmas Eve. Like, I completely forgot that fact. And then his parents came over, but they're divorced, so they were coming over, like, one right after the other, and his mom just looks at me like, and who's this? And he and I looked at each other and were like, because we hadn't officially decided if we were dating or not, so we're just like,
person.
Pretty much, it was so awkward, and I was like, I could have been, like, nicely dressed. I should have been nicely dressed to meet his parents. But anywho, same concept. Once you feel comfortable with the person, you're not super uptight about your looks and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's
much more relaxed.
So this is interesting because it does come up later, literally the next line. I was only tired, Calcifer said. There was some kind of drag on the castle. I'd never taken it that fast before. So that drag, it is mentioned here, and later on,
They mention it later, too.
It was the scarecrow.
Which is just like, okay, I have questions about the Scarecrow. I know that like we're coming up on like the Scarecrow part here, but like this would probably be jumping ahead a bit too far. But the Scarecrow, the fact that like Howl at one point had said like the Scarecrow had so much magic.
Oh yeah, that Scarecrow's a doozy.
I'm just like,
all in good time. All in good time.
Yeah, I'll wait till we get there. I'll wait till we get there to ask this question.
I love this part. So the next slide, well, don't let her make you do it again. So he's blaming Sophie.
Yeah.
like Calcifer has control of this whole situation, but he's blaming Sophie because Sophie made him do this. I think that's really... I like
that Sophie can control Calcifer too.
And she's really the only one. Like, I mean, obviously Howl can, but like,
obviously, yeah.
Calcifer's not supposed to bend to the will of other people, but for Sophie, he grumbles about it. Oh, I can't wait until we watch the movie. The voice actor is like fantastic for that. But
I'm so excited to watch
he grumbles about it a lot, but he does what Sophie wants. And actually, she was just terrified of the Scarecrow, so he saw that and was like, I'll save you! Like, obviously it exhausted the crap out of him, but like, he still did it for her because he saw how scared she really was. He's a nice fire demon. Let's see. And I think it's interesting. She's always describing him. He stood up gracefully brushing the ash off his gray and scarlet suit. So she's always describing him as beautiful and graceful and like, because this is kind of world according to Sophie. But that's always how she describes him, is this like ethereal, like just elegant person, except for the slime.
Except for the slime.
Except for the slime. But yeah, he's just this like I love how they have him in the movie because I'm like, yeah. Except for the voice. Christian Bale, like...
Can't. Batman. I haven't seen the movie. I can't picture him in the movie, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh! He is voiced by Christian Bale, who's Batman.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so like, I'm seeing that version of Howl in my head, and it's just, Batman.
Now I'm just picturing Howl saying
like, you can tell he's trying to keep his voice, like, a little lighter, but, like, it's Batman.
Yeah.
So, but he's this elegant sort of person, and he's always, like, he respects the finery in life. Let's see. Then he's telling Michael to start on the spell. He's shirking his duty from the king again. If anyone comes from the king, I'm away on urgent private business until tomorrow. And then
he's just going to see Letty.
Yeah, he's just gonna go see Letty. And of course, I think by this point, Sophie knows that he's courting, and she knows that the sisters aren't the sister, like, the sisters switched places. So she's like, I'm not gonna let him ruin my sister's lives, so she's still kind of, like, up in arms, like, oh, he's not a good person, even though, like, everything points to the contrary, except for his, like, womanizing. And it's funny, because he, like, cuts it off before, like, as soon as they fall in love with him, he's like, no.
Yep. And she doesn't want that to happen to her.
Yeah, she doesn't want them to be brokenhearted.
Yeah.
Oh, and I love this part. So, the knob goes green down, so they're outside where Sophie lived, so market shipping. And the Scarecrow was there again. When Howl opened the door, it pitched sideways across him with its turned-up face in his chest. The guitar uttered an awful twang. Sophie felt a faint squawk of terror, or gave a faint squawk of terror and hung onto the door, or the chair. Jeezums. Like, I've been playing on my computer too much. Words are hard today. My eyes are just like, bleh.
I feel that.
One of the Scarecrow's stick arms was scraping stiffly round to get a purchase on the door. So this guy's coming in. Like, he's just like, hello, neighbors, I am here. And it's from the way Howl's feet were braced, it was clear he was being shoved quite hard. So this is a really strong Scarecrow. that's just trying to get into the castle. And then I love how Calcifer and Michael both, like, stand up and yell. They're just like, oh, there really is a scarecrow. Like, did they think she was making it up? Like...
I think they did, but you know, they're just like, oh,
they're like, this crazy lady going on about this scarecrow that's alive and chasing her? Mad woman. Like, they really make...
she's an old lady, so, you know, she does crazy stuff. It's fair to assume.
But still, like, to think that someone's, like, hallucinating a scarecrow chasing them, and then they're both just so... Like, Calcifer's a demon. It's not that far out of the realm of possibility. Like,
I mean, it seems like a pretty weird thing if they're all, like, just like, what? Why is there a scarecrow?
But is it the fact that there's a walking, talking scarecrow, or the fact that Sophie was telling the truth? Like,
I'm gonna say it was Sophie telling the truth.
I'm like, huh. But yeah, so they're all, like, flabbergasted. Oh, and then Howl, I love, oh, there it is! Do tell! Howl, like, Howl panted.
And he's trying to keep it out. Like,
as he's pushing
no way, really?
Oh, the sarcasm was great. I, like, actually burst out laughing.
Same. 10 out of 10 sarcasm.
So he, like, shoves it out. And then it comes back. So he puts the guitar down and, like, actually, like, goes outside. And I think he uses magic.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Well, they have a Mexican standoff for a little bit.
Flying.
Yeah, they
a little bit of a standoff.
Yeah,
yeah.
They're all, like, kind of eyeing each other. So this is the kind of look that I give my cats, because it says, where is it? Because he talks, ow, I hit my headphones. He talks about, how it's, like, looking for an opening. So it's like, it's trying to get past him, and that's how I look at my cats when they're trying to run into the bedroom. I'm like, no. I'm, like, looking at him like, don't you do it, don't you do it. So I imagine this is the standoff that he's having with the scarecrow, and then he uses magic and, like, forces it back and it goes flying.
Yeets it into oblivion. Literally entirely out of sight.
But I love this. So you won't go, Howl said, and the turnip head slowly moved from side to side. No. I'm afraid you'll have to, Howl said. You scare Sophie, and there's no knowing what she'll do when she's scared. I love how his reasoning is like, you scare Sophie, get out of here. Like, he does care about her, even though they can't ever tell each other, just like, hey, like, I care about you as a person. No, it's, you really need to take care of yourself. Like, what are you even doing? Can't you, like, quit disturbing the other people in the house? Yeah, no, it's never, I care about you.
Yeah, no, Howl doesn't seem like the kind of person to just openly admit those kinds of feelings.
Oh, no, no, the Slitherer outer.
Yep.
Let's see. So it goes flying, and then... Let's see. I take back my hard words, Sophie, he said, panting. That thing was alarming. It may have been dragging the castle back all yesterday. It had some of the strongest magic I've met. Whatever it was it, all that was left of the last person you cleaned for. So he's trying to joke, but, like, he's actually, like, it's like, dang, like, what is up with the scarecrow? Yeah. It's got...
Okay, see, that's where I had the question, right? Because it's had some of the strongest magic he's met. Sophie is the one that, like, put it together, right? So it's like, and with Sophie, like, accidentally using magic, it seems, like, unintentionally, I should say, using magic for, like, the hats and whatnot, did she just accidentally make a scarecrow?
No. So the scarecrow was stuck in the bushes. It was already, all the magic that it had was already there. So she just pulled it out of the bushes and, like, set it back to rights, and then, like, no, it was already magic. Sophie did not have any hand in this, except for screwing herself over because she untangled it from the bushes, which made it chase after her anyway. So... And
we have no clue why still. It's just after her. I feel like it's just wanting to say, like, a thank you. Be like, hey, thanks for helping me out, you know what I mean? I could be wrong, even though they're, like, scared of it, but, like, I don't know.
It is extraordinary magic that is on this thing, and I can tell you it's a wee bit crazy. But no, Sophie did not make this scarecrow.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like her unintentionally making it or if it was like something else, but she just helped it out.
Yeah, no. So the next thing, and I love this little scene because it really shows that Howl actually does care about her, because she says that her heart was behaving badly again. Howl realized something was wrong with her. He jumped indoors across his guitar, took a hold of her elbow, and sat her in the chair. Take it easy now. Something happened between Howl and Calcifer then. Sophie felt it because she was being held by Howl, and Calcifer was still leaning out of the grate. Whatever it was, her heart began to behave properly almost at once. Howl looked at Calcifer, shrugged, and then turned away to give Michael a whole lot of instructions about making Sophie keep quiet for the rest of the day, which we know Sophie. It's not going to happen. But
no,
I thought that was a really actually touching scene because, like, he jumps over the guitar, like, doesn't even bother to, like, pick up the guitar on his way in. But he's just like, oh my gosh! So he goes over there and he's, like, helping her into the chair. And he's even telling Michael, like, Michael, bro, like, keep her relaxed.
And it's so sweet, like, just, yeah.
And she's like, you heart-eating demon! And he's just like, no, you take it easy, okay? And the fact that Calcifer and Howl know something's, like, there's something happened between them. There's, like, a little, like, I imagine how, like, siblings talk with their eyes just, like, looking at each other, like, little quirk of the eyebrow. I imagine this is the kind of, like, conversation that goes on silently between them. They're just like,
yeah. And you know they both be concerned about Sophie.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of sweet.
But nobody can say that. Nobody can ever say that. It's like
they won't say it even though Howl will jump over his guitar to help her and use the thing away to help her feel better, and Calcifer runs the castle until he's exhausted to help her, but they won't admit it.
No, absolutely not. That is like the first rule of living in the castle. You don't ever admit that you care about somebody. Ever. You just move them in and give them clothes and let them become your apprentice, and you never say a word.
You take care of them and you care about them a lot, you just never tell them that.
Yep. So Sophie, like, he leaves, and then Sophie very obviously is not going to abide by his wishes for her to, stay calm and relaxed. So she's like, "Oh, it's stuffy in here. I'm just gonna leave." So Michael's not paying attention to her until she, like, walks out of the castle and she's, like, walking away. And he's just like, what are you doing?
I feel a little bad for Michael.
Yeah, poor
just
Michael.
having to deal with Sophie. Like, he didn't ask for this.
Like, and he knows. Like, Howl's not the type to, like... He obviously does not believe in, like, terrible punishments or anything. But, like, he's like, no, but Howl said... So, she's like, she's walking away, she's leaving, and then Michael comes running. And the funny thing is he's running, and the castle's following him. So Calcifer is also, hey, Sophie, what are you doing?
They're so concerned for her. They're like, why are you leaving? You need a rest.
Oh yeah.
And it's not even for the fact that, like, Howl said it. I don't think it's literally, they're worried about her.
They are.
They want her to rest.
It's just so funny. Like, not only is Michael chasing her on foot, but Calcifer's using the castle to chase after her.
Yep.
And she even, let's see. The tall black castle came bobbing along behind him, shedding anxious puffs of smoke from all 4 turrets. So, like... Oh. Yeah, he's super concerned. Like, Calcifer's like, Sophie, no!
I liked that it mentioned that with, like, the anxious stuff, because, like, before, right, she was always saying how terrifying, like, they were and whatnot, but now she's, like, noticing, I feel.
Well, and now
like,
she knows it's Calcifer.
It's not just, like, horrifying or something. She can tell, like, oh, he's being anxious or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's...
seeing that kind of little bit of development.
I think it's because now, like, in the beginning, it's this, like, oh, this wizard who eats girls' hearts, and, like, she's terrified, and so she sees everything as this, she's, like, scary, imposing, until she gets inside and she's like, ooh, nice warm fire, I'm gonna sit down.
Right.
But now that she knows that it's Calcifer, now everything has this whole different view to it. So, like,
Yeah.
instead of this, like, raging, smoke and whatnot, she's like, oh, he's anxious. She's like, I did that.
Yep.
Like, it really is nice, and it shows a good progression.
Mm-hmm.
Now that she's kind of seeing things in a different light, and now that she's become friends with these people.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then Sophie, poor Sophie, she's like, oh, I'm fine. She's like, I'm gonna go see my other sister's granddaughter. She's also called Letty Hatter. Because, the two sisters and their whole switcheroo, and now she's like, I don't know who's supposed to be who, but,
They're both Letty Hatter.
Yeah, they're both Letty. He's just like, you understand? And he's just like, so Michael was like, oh, where does she live? And so it's an upper folding, but that's over 10 miles away, Michael said. I promised Howl I'd make you rest, and I can't let you go. I told him I wouldn't let you out of my sight. Sophie did not look very kindly on this. Howl thought she was useful now because he wanted her to see the king. Of course he did not want her to leave the castle. So now she's trying to, she's coming up with more excuses to not like Howl. She's like, yep. Oh, he's only concerned about me because I'm useful to him because I'm gonna go see the king. I'm like...
Even though that's clearly not it. He's just worried about her. But she's got to cope with it, you know what I mean? She doesn't want to admit to them caring either.
Well, yeah. But as bad as he is about communicating that he actually cares, Sophie does not understand it, at all. Yeah. It's like, I'm giving mixed signals to a dead radio. No one's getting anywhere.
Yep.
And then Howl has gone to upper folding to go see her, so they're just like, oh. So the whole thing is she's covertly, she knows that it's Letty, but he's like, well, maybe your niece and, this girl just have the same name. Let's go check. There could be three of them.
There's 3 Letty Hatters.
Yeah, there's 3 Letty Hatters, because that totally, completely makes sense. So, but he's like, well, but Howl is there too. And he's like, see, I can't let you go. And Sophie just, I'm going. But if Howl sees you there, he'll be furious, Michael went on, working things out. Because I promised him, he'll be mad with the both of us. You ought to rest. Then when Sophie was almost ready to hit him, he exclaimed, wait, there's a pair of 7 League boots in the broom cupboard. Because, obviously, if Howl comes back and the castle's where it was, he's like, oh, everything's fine. Not, the 2 people are missing. Let's see. And this is so the 7 League boots, I'm like, these are massively inconvenient contraptions. You would have to be really balanced.
They were literally wearing, buckets.
I mean,
is what I pictured.
These are a prototype model, and so essentially, yes, it is a bucket that goes over your shoe. But, she panted, 7 leagues is 21 miles. I'd be halfway to Port Haven in 2 strides. No, it's 10.5 miles a step. That makes upper folding almost exactly. If we each take 1 boot and go together, then I won't be letting you out of my sight and you won't be doing anything strenuous. And we'll get there before Howl does. So he won't even know where we've been. Oh my gosh. So they're like these 2 kids going, if we are really careful, we will be in the letter of the law and Dad won't see us. How about this? Michael was so pleased with himself that Sophie did not have the heart to protest. Oh yeah, it's just hilarious, this whole, mischief that they get into. So yeah, essentially they're, prototype boots, so they're, giant, clunky, pretty much like a bucket that you put over your shoe and strap in. And then the chaos, because, it's when you touch your foot down that it does the zoom. I had, the weirdest thought. I was like, so does it, negate if there's, a wall or something? Do you just magically pass through said wall? Or,
I was wondering, too.
I don't know how it works, but apparently it does. I mean, there's 7 League boots. They're magic.
Yeah.
So they step, and then let's see. Zip. The landscape instantly rushed past them, so fast it was only a blur. A gray-green blur for the land, and a blue-gray blur for the sky. The wind of their going tore at Sophie's hair and dragged every wrinkle in her face backwards until she thought she would arrive with half her face behind each ear. The rushing stopped as suddenly as it began. Everything was calm and sunny. They were knee-deep in buttercups in the middle of upper folding village common. A cow nearby stared at them. Beyond it, thatched cottages drowsed under trees. Unfortunately, the buckle-like boot was so heavy that Sophie staggered as she landed. "Don't put that boot down!" Michael yelled, too late. There was another zipping blur. This happens like 3 times. Of like, oh no!
So many times.
Like,
she's just...
she's so like... It's not even that she's necessarily clumsy. The boot's just heavy on her frail body. So like, imagine wearing like a lead shoe and being told you can't set your foot down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it happens. Let's see. There's... How many zips are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh my gosh, 12? So she does this a whole heap. So if you can imagine, like, say you're standing in the middle of your hometown. You put your foot down. All of a sudden, you're 2 towns over. Oh crap, you turn around to do it again, you accidentally trip, now you're 3 towns over in, like, the other direction. Like, you are going miles in vastly different directions. And so thankfully, eventually, Michael, I think she steps into, like, a cow pie or something. And, like, it, for some reason, negates the boot. And then he, like, rips it off her foot. He's, "Don't do that again." It's
cool, though. She just, she sort of fell. Like, a lot.
Yeah, it's it's just hilarious how many times it goes back and forth and back and forth.
Poor Sophie's trying. She's like, I'm trying to get back.
Yeah, this time she hopped around very carefully and trod with great deliberation. Zip! Unfortunately, the boot landed in a cow pat, and she sat down with a thump. Michael sprinted up before Sophie could move and dragged the boot off her foot. "Thank you," Sophie cried breathlessly. There seemed no reason why I should ever stop." Sophie's heart pounded a little bit as they walked across the common to Mrs. Fairfax's house. So Fairfax is the one that Letty is training, magic with.
Yes.
But only in the way hearts do when you have done a lot rather quickly. She felt very grateful for whatever Howl and Calcifer had done. Is she ever going to tell them that? No, absolutely not.
No, of course not.
Would rather die 10 out of 10. So they walk up, and so Sophie's been there before when she was a child. And so she's describing it. Over the porch, a honeysuckle and... because they're describing the flowers. Over the porch, a honeysuckle and a white climbing rose were competing as to which could give more work to the bees. It was a perfect hot summer morning down here in Upper Folding. So it's a very, like, sweet, like, kind of cottagey sort of house.
Which is not what I was picturing, to be honest, for where Letty had ended up. But it sounds like a very nice place.
Oh, yeah, no, it's, like,
honestly.
super lovely and...
Yeah, just a very pretty, comfy place to live.
And, like, even Mrs. Fairfax answered the door herself. She was one of those plump, comfortable ladies with swaths of butter-colored hair coiled around her head, who made you feel good with life just to look at her. So, like, she's just, like, this very pleasant, like, she's a witch, but she's just, like, this super pleasant, like, adorable lady. Like, I feel like I would want to meet her and, like, have tea with her.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Like, she's just so lovely. Sophie felt just the teensiest bit envious of Letty. So, like, this lady's so lovely that she's just like, oh, wish I could have done that.
the lady and like the place, just everything. Like, let's be real, Letty's living a pretty decent life there.
Like, seriously. She's just like, oh, you're living the good life. So, let's see. Mrs. Fairfax, she hadn't seen Letty since she was, or not Letty, Sophie since she was a young girl. So, obviously, and you wouldn't expect somebody you had met as a child, like, a couple years back to be, like, an old lady. But she said they introduced Sophie as Letty Hatter's great aunt, and then she's like, oh, I thought the face looked familiar. It's like family resemblance. Yeah, that thing. And then this whole part with the dog. So when she opens the door, this dog like bolts out and was like running, wreaking havoc in the flower beds, just like tearing things up, running around.
Being a dog.
Oh, being dog. There was a minute or so of helter-skelter chase in which the dog ran hither and thither, whining in a disturbed way, and Miss Fairfax and Sophie ran after the dog, jumping flower beds, getting in one another's way, and Michael ran after Sophie, crying, "Stop! You'll make yourself ill!" So they're chasing the dogs, he's chasing her.
Poor Michael.
I feel like Michael's like one step away from just like having a like premature heart attack or something.
Right.
He's like,
so worried about Sophie.
Well, then it's hilarious. So, let's see. And then the dog set off, looping round one corner of the house. Michael realized that the way to stop Sophie was to stop the dog. He made a crosswise dash through the flower beds, plunged round the house after the dog, and seized it by 2 handfuls of its thick coat, just as it reached the orchard at the back. So he's like, how do I get Sophie to stop? Grab the dog! So he grabs the dog, and Sophie's like, she's like panting and everything. Let's see. Okay, Sophie hobbled up to find Michael pulling the dog away backwards and making such strange faces at her that she thought at first he was ill. But he jerked his head so often towards the orchard that she realized he was only trying to tell her something. Are you sick? Like, what's going on, Michael? He's gesturing, trying to tell me to go look over there. She stuck her face around the corner of the house, expecting to see a swarm of bees. Howl was there with Letty. They were in a grove of mossy apple trees in full bloom, with a row of beehives in the distance. Letty sat in a white garden seat. Howl was kneeling on one knee in the grass at her feet, holding one of her hands and looking noble and ardent. Letty was smiling lovingly at him, but the worst of it, as far as Sophie was concerned, was that Letty did not look like Martha at all. So, when she finds Martha, like the real Martha, at the bakery, she looks like Letty. But now she's over here, she's like, why does Letty not look like Martha? I thought they were supposed to have switched places.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh no. She was her own extremely beautiful self. She was wearing a dress of the same kind of pinks and whites as the crowded apple blossoms overhead. Her dark hair trailed in glossy curls over one shoulder, and her eyes shone with devotion for Howl. She's very descriptive of this, and she's just like, oh. So not only is there the, like, oh crap, she's not faking her look to look like Martha. So she's like, how is this working? But she's also, like, deeply describing the loveliness of her sister. Her sister's so beautiful. She's like that, describing both of her sisters, like, oh, they're so beautiful. And then with her, she's like, my hair is the color of oranges. Like, she despairs when she describes herself. But her sisters, she's like, they're so beautiful, they're so pretty, they're just so smart. She likes to heap praise on other people, except for Howl. But not herself.
She doesn't, like, praise Howl. However, like, with all of the descriptions of Howl, how she sees him...
Oh, but that's only in her head. She would never...
Yeah, she wouldn't say it.
Ever.
But in her head, she totally, like, has some admiration for him.
Well, the thing is, I don't think she's necessarily doing it on purpose. It comes off as this, like, careless or, like, carefree sort of thing. Like, whenever she mentions him, she describes him as elegant and, you know, refined and stuff like this. But I think she's just doing it, like, she's not on purpose. I think if she realized what she was saying, she'd be like, woman, what are you doing? Howl?
Yeah.
No. Like, I think she's loath to actually describe him, like, purposefully like that. But in passing, that's how she thinks of him.
Mm-hmm.
Which is very funny, because it's the little things like that that are interesting from a writer perspective, because you can, just by, like, the tone and everything, you can see what's active and what's passive. Like, just these quick moments of description versus, like, the in-depth description. Let's see. So we're still on the dog. He caught the dog.
Mm-hmm.
He must have had a speed spell with him, Michael whispered, equally dismayed. And then Mrs. Fairfax comes over. So she's berating the dog. She's like, get in the house! The collie actually walks himself back into the house. Thank you so much, Miss Fairfax said to Michael as they all followed it. He will keep trying to bite Letty's visitor. Inside, she shouted sternly in the front garden as the collie seemed to be thinking of going round the house and going to the orchard the other way. So, like, the dog does not like Howl, and it's funny. The dog may have the right idea, Sophie said. Mrs. Fairfax, do you know who Letty's visitor is? Mrs. Fairfax chuckled. The wizard Pendragon, or Howl, or whatever he calls himself, she said. But Letty and I don't let on that we know. So, it amused me when he first turned up, calling himself Sylvester Oak, because I could see he'd forgotten me, though I hadn't forgotten him, even though his hair used to be black in his student days. So she knows him. Like, and he's like, oh, I'm so smart, I'm so clever, I'm Sylvester. And they're just like, yeah, no, that's Howl. And, like, Letty knows who he is.
Yep.
And they're just like, yeah, we like to let him think that we don't know, but we know.
Like, with the fact that, like, they know, and, like, Letty wasn't interested in Howl. Like, they went on to explain it.
Yeah.
But then Miss Fairfax is like, oh, but he's a wizard and he could teach you a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So,
they're suckering him into it.
They are. They're, like, using him to, like, teach her magic.
They're like, just pretend to be in love with him. I think they actually suggested that if they got married, then he could be her teacher. But, like, see, it's a win-win. She's so smart. Like, I don't have very much to teach her, but if she marries this dude and she lives with him, she can have access to all of his magical information. It's a win-win. Right. Which I just find absolutely hilarious.
So funny.
Because Howl's just like, he's just romancing. And he's just like, oh, I'm so smart. I'm just gonna, like, love her and leave her. And they're just like, so, we don't have to pay tuition or anything if we just get it.
And I love that he's literally, like, they're just conning him at this point, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's just, they flipped the script on him, and I think that's why, as well, like, it's taken him so long to get Letty to like him.
Probably.
That kind of thing, because she's just, like, she really isn't interested, but she's like, but magic, though.
Yeah, because, like, I think that's why there's moments where she's just like, oh, like, he despairs because she doesn't seem that interested. He's like, no, I'm gonna make her love me. She knows how to bait him. Because also, she was, like, really popular back in market shipping. Like, she's super beautiful. Mm-hmm. So she knows how to play the game. And she is playing him like he plays his guitar.
Yep.
Except
he doesn't play his guitar.
So they talked about... So Howl was the last student of her old teacher, Mrs. Pentstemon. That was really hard to pronounce even when I was reading it. I was like, ugh.
To be really honest with you, reading it, I just skipped over
the
name.
Because like, that lady.
Yeah, it was a hell of a word.
So yeah, Mrs. Pentstemon. She's retired now, so she's no longer a teacher, and Mrs. Fairfax wanted... She's like, if she was still open, I would have Hetty... Or... I'm getting everything mixed up. Letty. Letty had her. She's like, oh yeah, I'd have her, being her student, like, tomorrow. But she's like, the teacher's not teaching anymore, and he's, like, the next best thing. Let's see. So the wizard Suleiman, who used to be the king's court wizard, Mrs. Pentstemon, also taught him. Oh, she was so proud of him. She taught Wizard Suleiman too, and she said Howl was twice as good. So the actual official, like, highest, like, he is the court wizard, like, the best of the best, and like, oh yeah, Howl's like 2 times as good as him, like, like it was nothing. Let's see. But don't you know the reputation Howl has? Michael interrupted. Getting into Mrs. Fairfax's conversation was rather like getting into a skipping rope. You had to choose the exact moment, but once you were in, you were in. Mrs. Fairfax turned herself slightly to face Michael. Most of it's just talk to my mind. So, Michael opened his mouth to say it was not, because he's the one who blackened Howl's name. So he's like, but I did a good job.
Yeah.
He's like, no, he's terrible. He's horrible. Like, I did such a good job. And she's just like, yeah, I know. Just, it's like, bad rumors. He's just like, aw. She's like, but my work. Let's see. And I said to Letty, here's your big chance, my love. I knew Howl could teach her 20 times more than I could. For I don't mind telling you, Letty's brain goes way beyond mine. And she could end up in the same league as the Witch of the Waste, only in a good way. Letty's a good girl, and I'm fond of her. If Mrs. Pentstemon was still teaching, I'd have Letty to her tomorrow. But she isn't. So I said, Letty, here's Wizard Howl courting you, and you could do far worse than to fall in love with him yourself and let him be your teacher. The pair of you will go far. I didn't think Letty was too keen on the idea at first, but she's been softening lately, and today it seems to be going beautifully. And, yeah, Sophie doesn't seem to be too terribly fond of that. But so
her sister is, falling in love with somebody who is gonna leave her. So
that too. I think subtly though, because like there's a little bit of undercurrent. Like Sophie really does like Howl, and I think she's just kind of like, oh. Like, I think there's like a slight undercurrent. But then she's like, but someone told me that Letty was fond of someone else. Sorry for him, you mean, said Mrs. Fairfax. She lowered her voice. There's a terrible disability there, she whispered suggestively. And it's asking too much of any girl. I told him so. I'm sorry for him myself. Sophie managed a mystified, oh? But it's a fearsomely strong spell. It's very sad, Mrs. Fairfax wound on. I had to tell him that there's no way someone of my abilities can break anything that's put on by the Witch of the Waste. Howl might, but of course he can't ask Howl, can he?
This confused me. I was confused as to what they were talking about.
Okay, so Letty at one point had kind of a sweetheart, and something happened to him, and now he's bespelled. And she's like, well, I can't do it. She's like, I told him so. So it's like, yeah, no, Howl's a good substitute because, like, her other guy, he's kind of out of commission. So, like, it works.
Again, Letty possibly using Howl to, if she's got somebody that she's interested in, break spell on that guy.
Yeah, it's like, hey.
Like, Letty is just fully using Howl.
Oh, yeah, completely, 100%.
Yeah.
And then even before she got to see Letty, she's like, okay, I think we best be going.
Yep.
Let's see. Are you sure you won't come in for a taste of my honey? Asked Mrs. Fairfax. I use it in nearly any of my spells, you know. And she was off again, this time about magical properties of honey. So, la, da, da, da. Okay, so this is the interesting part. Sophie took the plunge. Mrs. Fairfax, wasn't it my niece Martha who was supposed to come to you? Naughty girls, Mrs. Fairfax said, smiling and shaking her head as she emerged from the looping. As if I wouldn't recognize one of my own honey-based spells. But as I said to her at the time, I'm not one to keep anyone against their will, and I'd always rather teach someone who wants to learn. Only I said to her, I'll have no pretenses here. You stay as your own self or not at all. And it worked out very happily, as you see. So she knew, because the real Martha was there. And then she found a spell to, like, make her look like her sister. Or, like, make them look like each other. And then they swapped places. I'm assuming keeping up the facade. And then she's like, I recognize my own spell. Like, girl, it's like, you don't fool me, take off the makeup. And, like, she's totally happy with her. I like that she didn't, like, oh, you tricked me, like, I don't want to teach somebody who's going to be lying to me. She's like, no, I get it. I'm not going to keep you against your will, but, like, hey, like, at least be you. At least own up to it.
Honestly, I liked that a lot, too.
Yeah, it's just, like, a nice little touch to, like...
Yeah.
You would expect, like, witches kind of have a bad rap. And, like, even, like, Howl. Even in the places where his name's not blackened, like, people are scared of him. And people seem to, like, have this thing about witches and stuff, witches and wizards, that they're not good people. And so, to meet this lady... she's so sweet, and so just, like, happy. She is who I want to be. I want to be Mrs. Fairfax. I want to raise bees and live in a cottage with my dog, and, like, that would be amazing.
Right?
Have cherry blossoms in my backyard. Mrs. Fairfax is living the life I want.
For real.
But she's, like, so sweet, and she's like, yeah, no, so it worked out perfectly, and now we have this dude who we're, like, trying to trap into teaching her. So yeah, then they're like, we should better go. And then, and I'm going to hold on to you this time.
But yeah, so I was gonna say, I feel like Miss Fairfax just wants to talk to people.
Oh yeah.
She just wants to be visited, man.
Oh yeah. Like, she's...
leaving. She's just like, oh, but don't you want to, like, stay and talk and have tea and here's some honey, and what about this? Like...
But wait, there's more! Not even, don't you want to see your niece? She's like, nah. She's like, do you want to talk about honey? Do you want to come in? Like, oh, I love her.
They just leave. They're just like, nope, we gotta go. Okay, put your foot in the boot. Okay, bye. Like,
yep, hasta la vista.
Like, I want to go visit Miss Fairfax.
Let's see. 7 leaguers, she said. What do you believe? I have not seen any of those for years. Very useful things for someone your age, Mrs. I wouldn't mind. She completely drops, like, the Mrs. Never mind. Names aren't important. I wouldn't mind a pair of these. A pair myself these days. So it's you Letty inherits her witchcraft from, is it? It's not. Not that it necessarily runs in families, but as often as not. And then, like, they leave and cut her off.
Yep.
So she thinks that, I mean, obviously she thinks that she's her, like, great aunt or something like that. So she's like, hey, so that's where she gets her magic from. Like, it doesn't necessarily run in families, but... So I think she... Like, obviously she doesn't know that Sophie actually has magic, but seeing her with the boots is like, oh, hey! You got some magic in ya. And then they leave, and then Port Haven door. And that's where they leave off. And now we're in chapter 9. Let's see. Chapter 9, in which Michael has trouble with the spell. So, sea captain comes by for a spell. So he... Let's see. Michael, in Sophie's opinion, was far too polite to him, but she was feeling too dejected to interfere. Okay, so this is when, like, her stockings have, like, holes in them, and she's just like, ah. So she's starting to see how her clothes are kind of shabby, which is funny, because in the beginning, she didn't really care. Like,
Yeah.
she didn't really care about anything like that, but it's only after seeing Letty with Howl that she's starting to notice that she's a little shabby.
To become like more self-conscious.
Yeah, she's starting to like get a little more self-conscious about things. And so she takes Howl's blue and silver suit that he ruined with the green goo, and she's now cutting pieces out of it to make a skirt. Because she's like, well, the whole thing's ruined, but I can salvage like bits and pieces to make a skirt. So Michael wants to know how many nieces she has.
Like that she just lies too. She's just like, oh, I don't know. You lose count. They all look so alike. Those two Lettys could be twins to my mind. Like, bruh.
Yeah, when you get to my age. And so this is really interesting. It says, oh no, not really. The niece in upper folding isn't as pretty as my Hetty. So they're supposed to look, or Martha is supposed to look like Letty. Michael is saying they don't look the same. So she's like, wait a second.
I mean, to be honest though, like, wasn't the spell supposed to, like, over time begin to wear off, right?
But even...
So in a way, he's kind of liking the actual, like, Martha. You know what I mean?
I think there's a little more to this spell, because Sophie is able to see through it and she sees, like, the mannerisms of Martha. But, like, Michael would question, didn't you look a little different yesterday? I think when you genuinely care for the person who's under the spell, I think that it doesn't appear the same for you.
That would make sense.
That's just kind of my impression. Because...
yeah.
You know, and the funny thing is, Sophie describes Letty as being, like, super beautiful, like, she is the prom queen, like, she's just, like, just so beautiful. And Michael's like, nah, she's not as pretty as my Letty. Like, Martha, who's supposed to be, she's pretty, but she's not as, like, stunningly beautiful, and he's like, he sees the supermodel and is like, nah. He's like, I like my girl better. Which is actually really sweet.
Yes, I was gonna say, it's really sweet how much Michael likes her. Like, it's just cute.
I'm glad Howl didn't meet my Letty, he said. Let's see. I wanted to laugh that Mrs. Fairfax said she knew who Howl was, didn't you? They're just like, bro. I could just imagine them, like, Howl's just sitting there going on and on about how he's wooing Letty, and they're just like, should we tell him? Like, is somebody gonna tell him? Nah, this is too good. So they're just like, oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Let's see. No, said Sophie. It had made no difference to Letty's feelings. She thought of Letty's bright, adoring face under the apple blossom. I suppose there's no chance, she said hopelessly, that Howl could be properly in love this time. Calcifer snorted green sparks up the chimney. I was afraid you'd start thinking that, Michael said. But you'd be deceiving yourself, just like Mrs. Fairfax. How do you know? Calcifer and Michael exchanged glances. Did he forget to spend at least an hour in the bathroom this morning? Michael asked. He was in there for 2 hours, said Calcifer, putting spells on his face. Vain fool. He's just like little jab in there. There you are then, said Michael. The day Howl forgets to do that will be the day I believe he's really in love, and not before. So that goes to the whole, like, when he's faking it, when he's trying to put on a show, he's, like, super into his spells and whatnot, and he's like, I have to look the best.
Mm-hmm.
But when he was talking to Calcifer, he gets down on the ground, he drags his sleeves through the ashes. He doesn't care about those things when it comes to people he actually cares about. So, they're just like, yeah, no. Now, the day he stops being a vain little peacock is the day that we'll actually believe he's in love.
Yep. Which honestly, like, is very accurate and fair. Good notice, like, good thing that Michael noticed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It totally makes sense.
Well, and he's been with Howl for a while, so he's just like, yeah, no, I know him. Sophie thought of Howl on one knee in the orchard, posing to look as handsome as possible, and she knew they were right. He was going. She thought of going to the bathroom and tipping all of Howl's beauty spells down the toilet, but she did not quite dare. So she mad. I also think she's not taking Letty's smarts into consideration. I think she thinks still that Letty is being played for a fool, even though Letty's doing the playing. And I think she thinks truly that Letty's falling in love with him, but I still think it's an act.
I honestly think so too. I think that Letty is 100% just using Howl here. But to be fair, Sophie hasn't talked to Letty yet, and she's only hearing it from, like, you know, from Howl and Michael and whatnot. So she only has, like, half of the story going on.
True. Okay, so he's starting to struggle with this spell. Like, he left for a little bit, he comes back with a weird seashell, he is, like, burning papers, like, he is going through, like, the ringer on this one. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing.
He's trying, though, man. He's trying a lot of stuff.
He is trying his best. And then he actually feels bad about spying on Howl. He may be fickle to females, but he's been awfully good to me. He took me in when I was just an unwanted orphan sitting on his doorstep. This part was actually really sad. Like, hearing him describe his life. I'm like, oh. Like, I wanted to hug Michael.
Yeah, I feel really bad for Michael.
My mother died and my father got drowned in a storm, Michael said, and nobody wants you when that happens. I had to leave our house because I couldn't pay rent, and I tried to live in the streets, but people kept turning me off of doorsteps and out of boats until the only place I could think to go was somewhere everyone was too scared to interfere with. Howl had just set up in a small way as Sorcerer Jenkins then, but everyone said his house had devils in it, so I slept on his doorstep for a couple of nights until Howl opened the door one morning on his way to buy bread, and I fell inside. So he said I could wait indoors while he got something to eat. I went in and there was Calcifer, and I started talking to him because I had never met a demon before. And then she's like, what did you talk about? So she's trying to get more hints. Wondering if Calcifer had asked Michael to break his contract too. So she's like, did he do it to you too? Do you have a deal with the fire demon? He told me his troubles, and he dripped on me, didn't you? Said Calcifer. And it didn't seem to occur to him that I might have troubles as well. I don't think you have. You just grumble a lot, Michael said. You were quite nice to me that morning, and I think Howl was impressed. But you know how he is. He didn't tell me I could stay. He just didn't tell me to go. I started being useful wherever I could, like looking after money so that he didn't spend it all as soon as he got it, and so on. So I love how they just, like, he's like, yeah, no, he just kind of did his thing. He didn't tell me to go, or, well, he didn't ask me to stay, but he also didn't tell me to go. So he just sort of moved in.
I feel like with Howl, though, like, Howl, as soon as he had the conversation with Calcifer, was just like, he knew, right? Like, because Howl doesn't let on that he knows what's going on in a lot of situations, but you know that he probably knew what was going on with Michael. And after he talked with Calcifer and whatnot, he was just like, yep, I am taking in this child.
I'm gonna mark something down real quick. Another sticky note for a hint.
If this is about to be said at the end of the chapter, I was gonna ask.
Let's see. I did make lots of stupid mistakes when I first started, Michael went on. Howl was awfully nice about it. I thought I'd got over that now. And I think I do need help with money. Howl buys such expensive clothes. He says no one's going to employ a wizard who looks like he can't make money at the trade, which is fair.
Mm-hmm.
That's just because he likes clothes, said Calcifer. His orange eyes watch Sophie at work rather meaningly. So Sophie is currently still cutting up his fine silver and blue suit. He's just like, he likes his clothes. And Sophie
also ruined that outfit, so you know.
Yeah, she's like, the suit was spoiled, said Sophie. It isn't just clothes, Michael said. Remember last winter when we were down to your last log and Howl went off and bought that skull and the stupid guitar? I was really annoyed with him, he said. They looked good. What did you do about logs? Sophie asked. Howl conjured some from someone who owed him money, Michael said. At least he said they did, and I just hoped he was telling the truth. And we ate seaweed. Howl said it's good for you. Nice stuff, murmured Calcifer, dry and crackly. So it's so funny, because they, like, Howl, this is just the epitome of Howl. He's just like, oh, hey, you can wait inside. And then he just, like, slowly starts living with this dude, and he's like, yeah, it's fine, it's totally fine. Doesn't charge rent, nothing, just... And I feel like Michael's just, like, waiting for the day when he's like, why are you living here? But he's just like, yeah, that's kind of how... He's like, are you my child? Like, what happened? But yeah, he's just like, this is so Howl. Just like, yeah. Same thing with Sophie. She's like, I'm your housekeeper. He goes, I guess you are. He takes people in.
He just accepts it, like...
Yep. He's very go with the flow. Let's see. So then he brings her the spell because they can't figure it out. And this is weird. Like, when I was reading it, I was like, I do not comprehend a single word that's, like, on this. I'm like, what?
For, like, the spell?
Yeah.
Well, the supposed spell, yeah.
Yeah. Go and catch a falling star. Get with child a mandrake root. Tell me where all the past years are, or who cleft the devil's foot. Teach me to hear the mermaids singing, or keep off envy's stinging, and find what wind serves to advance an honest mind. Decide what this is about. Write a second verse yourself. Like, I was staring at it going, what?
I was very confused by it.
These words don't even make sense. And, like, Sophie's like, what are these words? She's like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that Michael ended up, like, conning her into helping with the puzzle at this part as well. He's like, I can't figure it out, you figure it out. She's like, I don't know what's happening. But I loved their, like, working together to try to figure it out.
Well, and
you know what I mean?
She starts giving out suggestions, and he's like, no, I don't think so. She's like, you could do it by yourself if you sit on everything I have to say. Anyway, surely Calcifer must know who cleft his own foot. Calcifer flared up a little at this. I haven't got any feet. I'm a demon, not a devil. So, like, they're all trying to figure this out. Sophie's journal also doesn't make a darn bit of sense. But
yeah, Sophie's journal is just like
it's just madness.
Random note. Entirely random.
Do you remember when we were in English class and we had to do like stream of consciousness writing? So it's like literally every thought. Like, this is, I'm like, what?
That is exactly what Sophie wrote.
Yeah, discard like keep off envy. I could cut a star out of paper and drop it. Could we tell it to Howl? Howl would like mermaids better than Calcifer. Do not think Howl's mind honest. Is Calcifer's? Where are past years anyway? Like, it's just all stuff and nonsense. I'm like, what?
All random, yeah.
Like, it's so random.
I like that she went to go and get the pen and paper, like she was doing something as well, when in reality she was just writing this nonsense.
Yeah. She's like, she looks like she's really, like, thinking about this hard. She's like, nonsense. Utter nonsense. Let's see. So now they're wanting to go catch a star. This time, Sophie prudently took her stick and her shawl, since it was now quite dark. Michael was turning the doorknob blue down when two strange things happened. On the bench, the teeth of the skull started chattering, and Calcifer blazed right up in the chimney. "I don't want you to go," he said. "We'll be back soon," Michael said soothingly. And then they just leave him. So, it's just kind of interesting. Like, I mean, the teeth on the skull, that one kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see. So they go to the marshes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, like, looking around, and they waited for, let's see. After about an hour, Sophie had pretended she was not shivering for fear of worrying Michael. Half an hour later, Michael said, May it's not the right time of year. August or November is best." And then I think they wait like another half hour and they're just like,
Yep.
And then so Sophie sees it. And she's just like, "Look! There's a star!" So I think he puts on a 7-league boot and they like zoom after it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. And there was the falling star. Sophie could see it, a little white descending flame shaped shape a few yards beyond the dark movement that were what? So my brain, I'm like, okay, that's
Brain no braining.
brain no braining. I just it broke for a second. Sophie could see it, a little white descending flame shape a few yards beyond the dark movements that were Michael. The bright shape was coming down slowly now, and it looked as if Michael might catch it. Sophie dragged her shoe out of the boot. So they're in the 7-league boots, and she goes, "Not again!" So she takes them out. "Come on, stick," she crowed. "Get me there." And she set off at top hobble. I'm gonna call that like if my back's hurting, I'm walking at top hobble.
Yes.
Leaping across tussocks? What? I don't even know what that word is.
I'm gonna be honest, but I kind of want to look it up.
Right?
I'm gonna look it up.
I have a pocket dictionary in my desk because I'm a dork.
I have Google.
You know what?
Tussock. A small area of grass that is thicker or longer than the grass growing around it.
I want to see what my dictionary said.
Or a moth.
Or a moth. So she's jumping over moths. Got it.
No, I think it's the first one. I think it's a small area of grass that's thicker or longer than the grass growing around it. I think it's just, leaping across tussocks. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm still looking. Turmoil, turnabout, turncoat. Tussock. Thick tuft or clump of grass. Interesting. That still has pink duct tape on it from in high school when the covers fell off. I remember my mother telling me, if you don't know how to use a word, don't use it. And so she gave me a dictionary. And so from then on, I was always looking up words.
Fair.
Okay, anywho. So the tufts of grass, because we couldn't say tufts, we have to say tussocks. And staggering through pools with her eyes on that little white light. By the time she caught up, Michael was stalking the star with soft steps, both arms out to catch it. Sophie could see him outlined against the star's light. The star was drifting level with Michael's hands, only a step or so beyond. It was looking back at him nervously. How odd, Sophie thought. It was made of light. It lit up a white ring of grass and reeds and black pools around Michael, and yet it had big, anxious eyes peering backward at Michael and a small, pointed face. Sophie's arrival frightened it. It gave an erratic swoop and cried out in a shrill, crackling voice, "What is it? What do you want?" She tried to say to Michael, "Don't stop," or "Do stop, it's terrified," but she had no breath left to speak with. I only want to catch you, Michael explained. I won't hurt you. No, no, the star crackled desperately. That's wrong. I'm supposed to die. But this was kind of sad.
That was just like, why is this... Why?
But I could save you if you'd let me catch you, Michael told it gently. No, cried the star. I'd rather die. It dived away from Michael's fingers. Michael plunged for it, but it was too quick for him. It swooped for the nearest marsh pool, and the black water leapt into the blaze of whiteness for just an instant. Then there was a small dying sizzle. When Sophie hobbled over, Michael was standing, watching the last light fade out of the little round lump under the dark water. That was sad, Sophie said. Michael sighed. Yes, my heart sort of went out to it. Let's go home. I'm sick of this spell. It took them 20 minutes to find the boots. Sophie thought it was a miracle they found them at all. You know, Michael said as they trudged dejectedly through the dark streets of Port Haven, I can tell I'll never be able to do this spell. It's too advanced for me. I shall have to ask Howl. I hate giving in, but at least I'll get some sense out of Howl now that this Letty Hatter has given in to him. This did not cheer Sophie up at all. So, like, yeah, well, maybe now that Howl's, now that he's won and now that she's in love with him, maybe he'll actually pay attention to me as his apprentice.
And now we're on chapter 10, in which Calcifer promises Sophie a hint. Okay, this is the chapter that has a hint in it that I still don't know.
I'm gonna let you take the reins on this one.
Alright. I mean, gosh, you always go into so much more detail than I do.
Practice.
True. Now I gotta remember where I was at with it.
Chapter 10.
Well, yeah, chapter 10. And I mean, Howl returns, and, she's tearing apart his suit still.
Yep.
I made a jigsaw puzzle out of my best suit. Just a friendly inquiry, Jellied it the other day, said Sophie. I'm making it over.
I love how she has a name for it now.
That she just...
You jellied it.
Right? He jellied the suit, bro. Like, he ruined it, so she's just, like, taking it over. And this actually... Okay, something else that happens later with this. The fact that she's making the suit, and he notices now that she's, like, changing it for a part that comes up later. I'll bring it up again then. But, yeah, just taking note of the fact that he noticed her doing it. But then also here... I thought I showed you I can also make you a pair of 7-league boots of your own. If you give me your size, something practical and brown calf perhaps, it's amazing the way you can take a step 10.5 miles long and still always land in a cow pat. Like, he knew. He knew that they were there. He knew.
And I love how Sophie doesn't deny it.
No.
She's like, it may have been a bull pat, said Sophie. I dare say you found mud from the marshes on them, too. At my age, you need a lot of exercise. You were even busier than I realized then, said Howl. Because when I happened to tear my eyes from Letty's lovely face for an instant yesterday, I could have sworn I saw your long nose poking around the corner of the house. He knew!
And again, she doesn't even deny it.
Yeah,
She's just like, yep. Fairfax is a family friend, said Sophie. How was I to know you'd be there too? Like, she's playing it off.
Yep.
But he knew. He knew they were
totally
there.
Knew.
He knew everything they did. Like,
they were trying to be so sneaky, and he was like, yeah, no, I knew. But again, he can't directly say that he saw them. He was going to go every other way around it.
Yep.
Well, I love this
and he's
next
even
bit.
saying, like...
How was I to know you'd be there too? You have an instinct, Sophie, that's how, said Howl. Nothing is safe from you. If I were to court a girl who lived on an iceberg in the middle of an ocean, sooner or later, probably sooner, I'd look up to see you swooping overhead on a broomstick. In fact, by now I'd be disappointed in you if I didn't see you. He's like, I can't escape.
He's showing that he cares. He's like, I know you're gonna be there. Like,
yeah.
He's getting to know her. It's cute in a funny way.
And then she even jokes, are you off to the iceberg today? Like, it's just funny.
then she calls him out too. From the look on Letty's face yesterday, there's nothing that need keep you there. So she's just like, you made her fall in love. There's no reason to go keep seeing her now.
Yeah.
Like,
she's like, move on.
He seems to know that as well. Like, he's just like, accepts it, even though he says, you wronged me, Sophie. But like, is it the fact that he would actually like her, or is he like still gonna leave her? Obviously, I think that he's still gonna leave her. I fully think that Letty is just leading him on to get what she wants out of it. But I don't know. I don't know if he actually likes her or not. Or if it's like all of these relationships, if he actually likes them, or if he's just, you know, using them in a game kind of thing.
It's a bit of a toss-up.
Yeah. Because he says long years will pass before I leave Letty, and in fact, I'm off to see King again today. Satisfied Miss Nose. So,
I love how he calls her Miss Nose.
Right. I mean, she's nosy, and she's got the big nose, if it's... But yeah, I can't decide if he actually likes Letty, or if he just thinks that he likes Letty, or just what exactly goes on with him.
I think in the context of the game, he does like her, but I think it's sort of in a superficial way. It's a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love this interaction with Sophie and Calcifer, because both of the boys leave, and she's like, oh, I guess I'll just make this skirt, and then people start showing up. And so Calcifer actually helps her through, like, some basic potions and stuff, and, like, just taking care of these basic things. And he's not even, like, he's actually being helpful. Yellow powder, fourth jar, along the second shelf, Calcifer whispered back. Those spells are mostly belief. Don't look uncertain when you give it to him. So she's... I'm pretty sure it's mostly placebo, so, like, look convincing.
Look like you know what you're doing and what you're talking about, and it'll work.
But yeah, so he's, like... She's actually helping out with the operation. Because she's selling things and whatnot. Oh, I love this one. This was hilarious. Madam Sorceress, for pity's sake, he said, so this is a young man who came. I have to fight a duel at dawn tomorrow. Give me something to make sure I win. I'll pay any sum you ask. Sophie looked over her shoulder at Calcifer, and Calcifer made faces back, meaning there was no such thing ready-made. That wouldn't be right at all, Sophie said. Sophie told the boy severely. Besides, dueling is wrong. Then just give me something that lets me have a fair chance, the lad said desperately. Sophie looked at him. He was very undersized and clearly in a great state of fear. He had that hopeless look of a person who always loses at everything. I'll see what I can do, Sophie said. She hobbled over to the shelves and scanned the jars. The red one labeled Cayenne looked the most likely. She poured a generous heap of it on a square of paper. She stood the human skull beside it. Because you must know more about this than I do, she muttered at it. So, she went from being terrified of the skull to kind of regarding it as, like, this weird buddy, and now she's, like, touching it. She's just like, eh! Like, she's talking to it, touching it.
Got used to it.
Yeah, she's totally fine with this human skull.
Yeah.
Sophie took up a knife and made what she hoped looked like mystic passes over the heap of paper. You were to make it a fair fight, she mumbled. A fair fight, understand? She screwed the paper up and hobbled over to the door with it. Throw this in the air when the duel starts, she told the undersized young man, and it will give you the same chance as the other man. After that, whether you win or not, depends on you. So she's literally like, throw cayenne pepper in his face and that'll even the playing field.
Yeah, I was gonna say, throwing the cayenne pepper up into the air, that's just gonna get in their eyes.
I mean, technically,
it's just gonna be spicy, painful. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's like pepper spraying somebody. Just like, here.
Exactly.
It'll even the playing field. So it's not necessarily a spell, but like... It's hilarious.
But it'll be effective.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. So he tried to give her a piece of gold, and she's like, no, like, I'm a fraud. So He gave her a 2-bit penny instead and went away whistling happily. It's just hilarious.
And the fact that she wants to be there at the fight. The fact that she wants to see. She's like, no, I gotta watch.
Oh yeah, Calcifer's like,
to know what's gonna happen.
I love how he uses that as a segue. Because Sophie says, but I would like to be there at that fight. So would I, crackled Calcifer. When are you going to release me so that I can go and see things like that? He's like, hey, when are you going to set me free? When I've gotten even a hint about this contract. You may get one later today, said Calcifer. It's just so funny. He's like, so about that contract.
Calcifer, he just wants to know. He just wants out, man. He just wants
freedom!
Then Michael comes back. He just starts telling her about meeting with Martha. Yeah, Martha.
Because she almost calls her Martha, and she's like, my niece.
Yeah. That was my niece. Eventually Martha's gotta say, hey, my name is Martha, not Letty.
Well, at
Michael,
least
right?
she's being herself. She's
Yeah.
acting like herself, just under a different name. So at least it's not like, yeah, I've been living under this, like, completely false identity for, like, a long time.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as, like, much of a shock, but it's like, yeah, my name's not Letty, it's Martha. It's like,
yeah,
that's fine. I mean, Howl has, what, 3 names?
You know, fair. I think he has more than 3. He's got so many names. He just keeps making them up.
Oh, and then when Howl comes back, it's hilarious.
Yes, okay, this is what I was talking about earlier, but go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I'll probably be skipping ahead a little bit if I remember if this is the part right. Yeah, so he enters back in, right? And he's all pissed off. Sangrun stares me in the face. I slave all day I slave all day for you all, and not even one of you, even Calcifer, can spare time to say hello. And then they're all freaking out, like, oh, I'm so sorry. We want to say hello. And then Sophie's like, is something wrong?
I love how Calcifer says, I never do say hello. Like, he's just like, no one even says hello. And he's just like, in my defense, I never say hello.
But then as soon as Howl has their attention, he's just like, that's better. Some of you are pretending to notice me at least. He's so dramatic, man.
Oh yeah, oh no, he is so dramatic, it's hilarious. Like, he is a drama queen to the max.
Is. Oh, it's so funny.
Oh yeah, he lives for the drama.
He does. Even though he acts, like, so nonchalant at other times, but then there's just the times whenever he's just the biggest drama queen.
Oh yeah. He's just like, add a little spice. To, like, everything.
Yep. But then he says, so yes, something is wrong. The king has asked me officially to find his brother for him with a strong hint that destroying the Witch of the Waste would come in handy too, and you all sit there and laugh. By now it's clear that Howl was in a mood to produce green slime any second. Sophie hurriedly put her sewing away. I'll make some hot buttered toast. She's like, do not make the slime again.
Yeah, she was like, oh no, not again. Is that all you can do in the face of tragedy? Howl asked. Make toast?
Oh, I love it.
And then he just, like, dumps these gifts on them.
Yes. So this is where, like, she has, like, silk stockings, 2 parcels of the finest cambric petticoats, flounces, lace, and satin, just, like, boots, shawl, a dress, everything, right? So he gives her all of this, like, fancy-looking stuff, and the fact that she was, like, making the skirt earlier, right? She's starting to get a bit self-conscious. She was making it earlier out of his, like, clothes, and then he just drops these nice clothes for not just her but for Michael as well. It's so sweet because I feel like he noticed. He's like, ah, you know, she's trying to make herself look pretty, and so he just goes and spends all of their money to spoil them, and it's so cute.
It's funny though, because so he talks about he has an excuse for it. He said, the king, let's see. The king would think I didn't look after my old mother properly. Well, Sophie, are the boots the right size? Sophie looked up from her odd stroking. So, because she was stroking the lace, and she's like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. Are you being kind, she said, or cowardly? Thank you very much, and no, I won't. What ingratitude, Howl exclaimed, spreading out both arms. Let's have green slime again, after which I shall be forced to move the castle 1,000 miles away and never see my lovely Letty again.
So dramatic.
Oh, so dramatic. So, like, he shirks answering the question. He slithers out.
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things, is he genuinely does care, and he wanted her to have nice things, but he can't say that, so he's got an excuse prepared and a guilt trip.
Yep.
Let's see. You haven't asked me to do anything yet, she said. You've just said I'm going to. Howl smiled. Are you going? You are going to, aren't you? All right. When do you want me to go? Tomorrow afternoon, said Howl. Michael can go as your footman. The king's expecting you. So he's like, I already set it up. So then he like walks her through all the like. Okay, so we gotta do this kind of gently. Let's see. And then comes the spell. So Michael's
Michael's
like,
trying to ask about the
hey.
spell, being like, hey, I don't understand any of this. Can we, go over it?
So he's like, let's see, I tried to puzzle it out. I tried it as a puzzle and tried doing it just as it says, Michael explained. But Sophie and I couldn't catch the falling star. Great gods above, Howl exclaimed. He started to laugh and bit his lip to stop himself. But Michael, this isn't the spell I left you. Where did you find it? I love how he's just like, bro. He's like, this is not what I left you. WTF are you doing? On the bench, in that heap of things Sophie piled around the skull, it was the only new spell there, so I thought. Howl leapt up and sorted among the things on the bench. Sophie strikes again, he said. So the spell that he actually left was gone.
Yep.
So then he's looking at the skull. You're doing, friend? I have a notion you came from there. I'm sure the guitar does. Sophie, dear.
Now, all of that sentence, I'm not gonna lie, reading that made no sense to me.
Okay, so he's talking to the friend. Or to the skull.
To the skull.
And he's asking if the skull did it. The switcheroo. So
I'm sure the guitar does. What is that?
So this leads into where they're going. I have a notion you've come from there. I'm sure the guitar does. So the skull and the guitar came from the same place. Which is not where he bought it, but they're from the same destination, which was where Howl goes later.
Gotcha.
Busy old unruly Sophie, said Howl. Am I right in thinking you turned my my doorknob black side down and stuck your long nose through it? Just my finger, Sophie said with dignity. He's like, don't go there. He's like, am I right to assume you poked your nose in there? Just a finger. But you opened the door, said Howl, and the thing Michael thinks is a spell must have got through. Didn't it occur to either of you that it doesn't look like spells usually do? Spells often look peculiar, Michael said. What is this really? Howl gave a snort of laughter. Decide what this is about. Write a second verse. Oh, Lord, he said and ran down the stairs. I'll show you, he called as he pounded up, as his feet pounded up them. So they're just like, So he apparently knows what it is. It's just like, So he went upstairs to find a book. He couldn't find it. Michael, did I hear you say you went out and tried to catch a shooting star? Yes, but it was scared stiff and fell in a pool and drowned, Michael said. Thank goodness for that, said Howl. It was very sad. Sad, was it? Howl said, more upset than ever. It was your idea, wasn't it? It would be. I can just see you hopping about the marshes, encouraging him. Let me tell you, that was the most stupid thing that he's ever done in his life. He'd have been more sad if he had a chance to catch the thing. And you, Calcifer flickered sleepily up the chimney. What's all the fuss about? He demanded. You caught one yourself, didn't you? Yes, and Howl began, turning his glass marble glare on Calcifer, but he pulled himself together and turned to Michael instead. Michael, promise me you'll never try to catch one again. I promise, Michael said willingly. What is this writing, if not a spell? Howl looked at the gray paper in his hand. It's called Song, and that's what it is, I suppose. But it's not all here, and I can't remember the rest of it. He stood in thought, as if a new idea had struck him, with one which obviously worried him. I think the next verse was important, he said, and I'd better take it back and see. He went out the door and turned the knob black down. Then he paused. He looked around at Michael and Sophie, who were naturally enough staring at the knob. All right, he said. I know Sophie will squirm through somehow if I leave her behind, and that's not fair to Michael. He's like, I know Sophie's gonna try to get over here, so she's like, it's not gonna be fair to Michael because Michael's gonna be trying to hold her back, and that's just a lot of stress, so fine, you two come with me. Which is absolutely hilarious.
Right.
Let's see.
But then this, okay. This is the part where it was just like, he promised to tell me what's out there, Calcifer said. You had your hint, by the way. Denai said Sophie. She was in too much of a hurry to attend. And there was a hint.
Yes, there was.
And I have no clue.
It's so funny, though, because, well, I guess now that because I know what's up, I'm just like, I have so many little green sticky tabs in my book going hint, 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 hint.
No, I want to know.
I am up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sticky notes.
Bruh. I've caught on to 0. The only part that I think might be the hint here, because I went through and I was like, I want to know what it is, but I have no clue where it's at in, like, everything that I read. I really don't. So I tried to read everything that, like, Calcifer said. I don't know if it's something that Calcifer himself is, like, saying, or if it's something else that's going on. But, like, the star, right? You caught one yourself, didn't you? And then, like, Howl saying, yes, and then he just totally stopped. Right? So it feels like it has maybe something to do with that. That's the only part that I thought maybe that has to do with the hint. For the fact that Howl just did not continue with that. Am I close? Am I right?
We'll see.
Bruh.
It's called spoiler alert, but I don't have to give you a spoiler.
True. But I want the spoiler.
But you don't want it to ruin the rest of the book.
True. But yeah, that's out of everything that I, like, went back and read through, I was like, that is the only part that seems like it was the hint, and I could be wrong. But that was literally the only part. So, anyway. Chapter 11.
In which Howl goes to a strange country in search of a spell. This chapter was kind of weird.
Yeah. There was a lot in this chapter that I struggled understanding.
So, the essence of this one, so they go out and they're, like, in a little neighborhood, and let's see.
But this doesn't feel like it's even the same, what's the word, like, reality.
It's not.
Right? Yeah,
That's
it
the
feels
point.
like modern world as
It
opposed
is.
to fantasy world. And it confused me so much.
Okay, so that's the thing, so they show up, and he's just like, okay, we have to blend in. So he magically changes their clothes. His shirt, his sweatshirt, his baggy jacket, at the back of his baggy jacket, she saw, had mysterious words on it. Welsh rugby. He's from Wales. Like, the country, like, he is from Wales. Here. In our world. He is some regular dude. He went to college. He's from here. And he ended up in their reality.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, so they go up to the house. And so notice his name. So his name, like, as a wizard, is Howl. Howl. Like a wolf howl. Howl is spelled Howell. So Howl is his real name. His name is Howl Jenkins.
Howell is his real name, yeah.
Yeah. Howl, exclaimed the woman who was sitting there knitting. She put down her knitting, looking a little annoyed, but before she could get up, a small girl who was watching the magic picture very seriously with her chin on her hands. So she's watching TV. And Sophie's like, magic pictures in the box! Leapt up and flung herself at Howl. Uncle Howl, she screamed, and jumped halfway up Howl with her legs wrapped around him. Mary, Howl bawled in reply. How are you? I don't know how to pronounce that.
I don't either.
I think it's a Welsh word. Been a good girl then. He and the little girl broke into a foreign language then, fast and loud. So I think he's speaking Welsh. So, like...
Also, I just looked it up. In Welsh, Cariad, or however you pronounce it, is a noun that translates to love, darling, sweetheart, or beloved.
I was right! I was right. It is Welsh.
Yep. It is.
So this is his niece. This is my niece, Mary, and my sister, Megan Perry. Megan, this is Michael Fisher and Sophie... Hatter, said Sophie. Megan's a jerk. Like, I don't like Megan.
I didn't either.
Megan
I'm not the only...
Yeah, no. Megan shook hands with them, with the both of them, in a restrained, disapproving way. She was older than Howl, but quite like him, with the same long, angular face, but her eyes were blue and full of anxieties, and her hair was darkish. Quiet now, Mary, she said, in a voice that cut through the foreign chatter. Howl, are you staying long? So, like, she's immediately, like, her daughter's super happy to see him, and then she's, like, shushing them, because they're speaking Welsh to each other, and she cuts in into English, and she's like, stop it! Just dropped in for a moment, Howl said, lowering Mary to the floor. Gareth isn't in yet, Megan said in a meaning sort of way. What a pity, we can't stay, Howl said, smiling a warm, false smile. And it's Sophie, so Sophie is like the narrator here, and she knows that he's not really smiling. Like, it's fake. I just thought I'd introduce you to my friends here, and I want to ask you something that may sound silly. Has Neil by any chance lost a piece of English homework lately? Funny, you should say that, Megan exclaimed. Looking everywhere for it, he was, last Thursday. He got this new English teacher, see, and she's very strict. Doesn't just worry about spelling either. Puts the fear of God into them, about getting work in on time. Doesn't do Neil any harm, lazy little devil. Like, she's so mean!
For real.
So here he is on Thursday, hunting high and low, and all he can find is a funny piece of writing. Ah, said Howl, what did he do with that writing? I told him to hand it in to Miss Angorian of his, to this Miss Angorian of his, Megan said. Might show her he tried for once. And did he? I don't know. Better ask Neil. He's up in the front bedroom with that machine of his. But you won't get a word of sense out of him. Like, she's so mean! Like, she's cutting off her kid, telling her to be quiet. She's, like, hassling Howl. She's calling her son lazy. Like, she's not a nice lady.
I did not like her.
Like, I don't think we're meant to, necessarily.
Yeah.
But then, so they go in, and there's these boys, and they're playing video games. And she's just like, what are they doing?
Over the magic boxes.
So yeah, the Howl goes in, he's like, Neil, and he's like, don't bother me! And so Let's see. So she's. This is the funny. Don't interrupt, said one of the boys. He'll lose his life. So they're playing a video game. He'll lose a life. Like, it's
Go
not.
die.
Yeah, it's not like dying. And since this was in the 80s, I can assume this was written in. When is the copyright? Text copyright. Yeah, 86. He's probably playing Mario. He's probably playing Mario Bros. Or something. So Sophie's like, seeing this was a matter of life and death, Sophie and Michael backed towards the door, but Howl, quite unperturbed at killing his nephew, strode over to the wall and pulled the boxes up by the roots. So he unplugged it. Like, he unplugged the console. And the boy thinks that it was the sister, but she's like, it wasn't me this time. And, like, it's funny. So Neil's, like, pissed off and... How do, Neil? Howl said, pleasantly. Who's he? The other boy asked. My no-good uncle, Neil said. He glowered at Howl. He was dark with thick eyebrows, and his glower was impressive. What do you want? Put that plug back in. The kid's a jerk, too.
Oh.
Like, ugh. The kid bugged me, too.
A lot of the people in this area bug me.
Yeah. Like, Mary's cute. She's just like, oh, hi, uncle.
Cute. She's a little kid, you know?
Let's see. So, they're playing a game, and he's like, a new one? Asked Howl. Both boys looked discontented. No, it's the one I had for Christmas, Neil said. And I think it's May at this point. I don't know if time works the same way, but it was May when they were hunting the shooting star, so I'm assuming it's May.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's had it for a while. You ought to know the way they go on about wasting time and money on useless things. They won't give me another till my birthday. Then that's easy, said Howl. You won't mind stopping if you've done it before, and I'll bribe you with a new one. Really? Both boys said eagerly, and Neil added, can you make it another one of those that nobody else has got? Howl can just magically create video games!
Yeah.
So he's bribing.
Like, is he a programmer as well? Like, he's just making video games.
I think it's probably magic. I don't think that Howl has the patience.
Magic.
I don't think he has the patience or the time to create video games.
It's probably magic. It's just funny.
So he pulls out the paper and he asks, like, hey, like, what is this? Both boys looked at it. Neil said, it's a poem, in the way that most people would say, it's a dead rat. It's the one Miss Angorian set for last week's homework, said the other boy. I remember Wind and Finned. It's about submarines. Well, I'm like, I had to go back and reread it. I was like, the heck? Like, the heck you say? This is not about submarines. Well, Michael and Sophie blinked at this new theory, wondering how they had missed it. Neil exclaimed, hey, that's my long-lost homework. Where did you find it? Was that funny writing that turned up yours? Miss Angorian said it was interesting, lucky for me, and she took it home with her. Thank you, said Howl. Where does she live? The flat over Mrs. Phillips' tea shop. Cardiff Road. When will you give me the new tape? When you remember how the rest of the poem goes, said Howl. That's not fair, said Neil. I can't even remember the bit that was written down now. That's just playing with a person's feelings. He stopped when Howl laughed, felt in one baggy pocket, and handed him a flat packet. Thanks, said Neil devoutly, and without more ado, he whirled around to his magic boxes. Howl planted the bundle of roots back in the wall, grinning, and beckoned Michael and Sophie out of the room. Both boys began a flurry of mysterious activity into which Mary somehow squeezed herself, watching with her thumb in her mouth. So she's, like, little.
She's little, yeah.
Howl hurried away to the pink and green stairs, but Michael and Sophie hung near the door of the room, wondering what the whole thing was about. Inside, Neil was reading aloud. You are in an enchanted castle with 4 doors. Each opens on a different dimension. In Dimension 1, the castle is moving constantly and may arrive at a hazard at any time. So the video game that he just magically made up is based off of the castle, like his, like Howl's moving castle. Sophie wondered at the familiarity of this as she hobbled to the stairs. So she's like, hey, that sounds kind of familiar. So literally, he just created a video game based off of their adventures.
Off of their life, yep. Kind of great, though.
Let's see. So, Michael's like halfway down the stairs looking embarrassed. Howl was at the foot of the stairs having an argument with his sister. What do you mean you've sold all my books? She heard Howl saying. I needed one of them particularly. They weren't yours to sell. Don't keep interrupting, Megan answered in a low, ferocious voice. Listen now. I've told you before, I'm not a storehouse for your property. You're a disgrace to me and Gareth, lounging about in those clothes instead of buying a proper suit and looking respectable for once. Taking up with riffraff and layabouts, bringing them to this house. Are you trying to bring me down to your level? You had all that education, you don't even get a decent job. You just hang around, wasting all that time at college, wasting all those sacrifices other people made, wasting your money. Megan would have been a match for Mrs. Fairfax. Her voice went on and on. Sophie began to understand how Howl had acquired the habit of slithering out. Megan was the kind of person who made you want to back out quietly out of the nearest door. Unfortunately, Howl was backed up against the stairs, and Sophie and Michael were bottled up behind him. So she's like just reading him the riot. Like she's just like reading him the riot act, and he's just like standing there like, bro. And it's so funny because he's wearing, like, I'm assuming probably like a baggy sweatshirt, maybe sweatpants, maybe jeans. And she's just like, she's wanting him to wear a suit and this and that and the other. But when he's the wizard, he does wear very elaborate, fancy suits. And I think this just goes to show, because he went through college and everything, but once he found, like, the world of magic, I think he really took off there. And so he doesn't really feel connected to the modern world, to our world. Like, he thrives being a magician and, you know, a wizard, and he's not connecting with her on, like, any level. Yeah. And so she's accusing him of being lazy and this, that, and the other, when actually he does work pretty hard when he's not, you know, trying to seduce girls.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's this great, like, wizard and everything, so of course he's actually working hard. It's just in the wrong reality for Megan.
Yeah, I was just born in the wrong world.
Yep.
So, like, hearing her sit here and berate him when Mrs. Fairfax was like, oh yeah, and, you know, he was the best wizard, you know, the wizard Suleiman, yeah, you know, this teacher taught him, but, like, Howl was, like, twice as good. Like, he's amazing. Like, world-renowned in Sophie's world, but in his world, he's constantly berated and being told he's not good enough.
Sort of like a bum.
Yeah. And it's just, it's really interesting to see. And she then sort of feels, she feels bad for Howl and realizes this is probably why he is the way he is. Like, if he's being screamed at constantly, like, I could see why he'd be good at slithering out of conversations, because this is not pleasant.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sophie pushed Michael aside and stumped downstairs, looking as stately as she could manage. Come, Howl, she said grandly. We really must be on our way. While we stand here, money is ticking away, and your servants are probably selling the gold plate. So nice to meet you, she said to Megan as she arrived at the foot of the stairs. But we must rush. Howl is such a busy man. So once again, cannot ever say that they care for each other, but she's like, she sees him being berated by his sister, so she deliberately puts on this, like, hoity-toity front and, like, inflates, the situation and makes it seem like he's, like, super important, talking about him having servants, and, like, she's really laying it on thick, but as, like, an F you to the sister. It's like, how dare you say this to my degenerate wizard? Like, she's like, how dare? She's like, only I can criticize him. It's like, don't you dare. So, in, like, the most polite way possible, she's like, step back, woman! Megan gulped a bit and stared at Sophie. Sophie gave her a stately nod and pushed Howl towards the wavy glass front door. Michael's face was bright red. Sophie saw that because Howl turned back to ask Megan, is my old car still in the shed, or have you sold it too? You've got the only set of keys, Megan answered dourly. That, to me, said, if I had the keys, I would have sold your car.
Yep, 100%.
Like, the audacity of this woman. He's like, is my car still here, or did you sell it? You have the only keys. I'm like, which? She's so mean!
I did not like her.
Like, I was so glad when they got out of there. I was like, dear Lord, I hate this woman.
For real.
Let's see.
The car ride.
Yeah, that seemed to be the only goodbye. The front door slammed, and Howl took them to a square white building at the end of the flat black road. Howl did not say anything about Megan. He said as he unlocked the wide door in the building, I suppose the fierce English teacher is bound to have a copy of that book. So he's not even going to say or, like, make a joke about anything, or, because normally he tries to liven up a situation, but he's just like, he got berated and yelled at in front of his friends by his sister. She's making him feel absolutely terrible when she doesn't even know the reality of his situation. And there's no joke for that. There's no, oh, well, like, who pissed in her Cheerios this morning? Like, there's no joking, no trying to explain their dynamic. Like, he just lets it lay. Like, there's nothing to say about that situation. Let's see. Sophie wished to forget the next bit. They rode in a carriage without horses that went at a terrifying speed, smelling and growling and shaking as it tore down some of the steepest roads Sophie had ever seen. Roads so steep that she wondered why the houses lining them did not slide into a heap at the bottom. So she's, like, terrified of the car. And it's a car. It's just a car. Yeah. And she's just like, I'm gonna die!
But it's a terrifying car.
oh, it's so scary. Well, when you think about how fast horses go, so literally, like, a 1 horsepower versus, like, 100 horsepower, it's just, like, terrified.
Absolutely terrifying. Yep.
So then, this is the part where it just gets really strange.
Mm-hmm.
So, in where they live, like, there's houses above some of the shops, and so she's like, oh, T's closed, like the sign. So she's like, oh, well, I can't get in. But despite this foreboding notice, when Howl pressed a button at the small door beside the window, Miss Angorian opened the door. They all stared at her. For a fierce schoolteacher, Miss Angorian was astonishingly young and slender and good-looking. She had sheets of black-blue hair hanging around her olive-brown, heart-shaped face and enormous dark eyes. The only thing which suggested fierceness about her was her direct and clever way those enormous eyes looked and seemed to sum them up. I'll take a small guess that you may be Howl Jenkins, Miss Angorian said to Howl. She had a low, melodious voice that was nevertheless rather amused and quick, sure of itself. Howl was taken aback for an instant, then his smile snapped on, and that, Sophie thought, was goodbye to the pleasant dreams of Letty and Miss Fairfax, for Miss Angorian was exactly the kind of lady someone like Howl could be trusted to fall in love with on the spot. And not only Howl, Michael was staring admiringly too, and though all the houses around were apparently deserted, Sophie had no doubt that they were full of people who all knew both Howl and Miss Angorian, and were watching with interest to see what would happen. So she's all like, so, like, these two are gonna, like, start a forest fire of gossip. The tea is hot!
For real.
I love them. Like, Sophie's descriptions.
Just 10 out of 10, they're great.
Oh yeah, she's like, she takes one look at this, like, decently attractive woman and is like, Howl would love this bitch.
Yep.
Like, just like the slightly dramatic way that she's, like, describing her, and, like, a low melodious voice. And she's like, oh yeah, hook, line, and sinker. It's funny. And you must be Miss Angorian, said Howl. I'm sorry to bother you, but I made a stupid mistake last week and carried off my nephew's English homework instead of a rather important paper I had with me. I gather Neil gave it to you as proof that he wasn't shirking. He did, said Miss Angorian. You'd better come in and collect it. So instead of like, yeah, I'll just go grab it real quick, she's like, come in and get it. I'm like, whoa. Sophie was sure the invisible eyes in all the houses goggled, and the invisible necks craned as Howl and Michael and she trooped in through Miss Angorian's door and up a flight of stairs to Miss Angorian's tiny, severe living room. Like, she's just like, oh lord, anybody watching is gonna blow a gasket because we're going in.
I love Sophie.
Sophie's great.
Anyway. Right.
Miss Angorian said considerately to Sophie, won't you sit down? Sophie was still shaking from that horseless carriage. she's
Poor Sophie.
Yeah, she's like, the death trap on wheels! She sat down gladly on one of the two chairs. It was not very comfortable. Miss Angorian's room was not designed for comfort, but for study. Though many of the things in it were strange, Sophie understood the walls of books and the piles of paper on the table and the folders stacked on the floor. She sat and watched Michael staring sheepishly and Howl turning on his charm. How is it you come to know who I am? Howl asked beguilingly. You seem to have caused a lot of gossip in this town, Miss Angorian said, busy sorting through papers on the table. And what have those people who gossip told you? Howl asked. He leaned languishingly on the end of the table and tried to catch Miss Angorian's eye. He is laying it on thick. He's just like, yes. Oh. Like, I just imagined him just, like, trying to act all smooth, and he's just like, so.
Right.
Sophie's just watching this, like, that you disappear and turn up rather unpredictably for one thing, Miss Angorian said, which is true. And what else?
Yeah.
Howl followed Miss Angorian's movement with such a look that Sophie knew Letty's only chance was for Miss Angorian to fall instantly in love with Howl too. She's like, she's kind of rooting for them. She's like, just do it.
You're right.
But Miss Angorian was not that kind of lady. She said many other things, a few of them to your credit. It caused Michael to blush by looking at him and then at Sophie in a way that suggested these things were not fit for their ears. What have they been saying about Howl?
You know, it's got to be that he's been flirting with some people in the town. He's got some rumors.
Apparently, it is not fit for Michael, like, not in front of the boy. Oh my gosh, that reminds me. So, my old coworker, Rick, he was the only guy who worked in the office. And we're pretty sure he might have been gay, but we never asked. But still, He was our only guy. He was older than all of us on my side of the office. Like, he was older than all of us. Not by, like, well, I would say he was probably 6 years older than me. And so, but for some odd reason, anytime anybody was saying anything, like, suggestive or anything like that, because you know how guys have their locker room talk, well, girls have talk too, but anytime we said anything remotely spicy, I'd look at them, I'm like, not in front of the boy. And so anytime it was, like, rated, like, PG-13 and above, I'm like, not in front of the boy. That's what that reminded me. I was just like, not in front of the boy.
Honestly, yeah. Accurate.
It's not fit for his pure ears. Let's see. Here it is, she said severely. And this keeps coming up. She keeps being described as severely. Like, the room is severe. The way she's saying. So she's a very serious person. Which is funny.
Yeah, that was what I was getting from it too.
Yeah, like, a very serious person. Do you know what it is? Of course, said Howl. Then please tell me, said Miss Angorian. Howl took the paper. There was a bit of a scuffle as he tried to take Miss Angorian's hand with it. Miss Angorian won the scuffle and pulled her hands behind her back. Howl smiled meltingly and passed the paper to Michael. You tell her, he said. So he's just like, he's trying to create this, like, little meet cute situation where they, like, touch hands, and she's just, like, not having any of it. Which is very, unlike women around Howl. Michael's blushing face lit up as soon as he looked at it. It's the spell. Oh, I can do this one. It's enlargement, isn't it? That's what I thought, Miss Angorian said rather accusingly. I'd like to know what you were doing with such a thing. Miss Angorian, said Howl. If you've heard all of those things about me, you must know I wrote my doctoral... He's a doctor? My doctoral thesis on charms and spells. You look as if you suspect me of working black magic. I assure you, I never worked any kind of spell in my life. The lies! Sophie could not stop herself from making a small snort at this blatant lie. With my hand on my heart, Howl added, giving Sophie an irritated frown. This spell is for study purpose only. It's very old and rare. That's why I wanted it back. So Sophie couldn't even hold it together. She's like... She's like, what are the lies?
He's lying through his teeth, bro. He's just straight up lying. Okay,
oh yeah.
This is one thing that I did have a question on, but before that, as well, we need our chat synced, bro. You gotta pull up my streamery chat.
Let me see. No, I don't want to go back into my stream. I want to go to audio stream.
But yeah.
I can't read any of the old stuff. Oh, wait, no, there it is.
Oh, rip, that's okay. Oh, do you got it? 90% talk is about food, and honestly, if I had that kind of talk, you know, it'd probably be about food as well.
Yeah.
Spicy food, random shit, random bullshit, but, like, let's be real here. I have the spicy talk, right, but I would most likely be the person having the food talk.
Yeah, not gonna lie. Like, okay, at work, it was so funny. I was on Fridays. It was only me and one of my other coworkers, and that's when we would talk about, like, really racy things. And we'd always have to make sure that nobody else was listening. We'd, like, looking around, be like, okay, the coast is clear. So about that one thing. And, like, if those walls had ears, we would have ended up in HR after day one.
Wait, I have my volume up. Not bad.
Yeah, no, it all depends on the situation, but women can be extremely inappropriate. Like,
for real.
Like, men have this, like, raucous sort of, like, humor, like, it's like middle school boy humor. But, like, women, I'm like, whoa. Like, I did not need to know that description.
Get into some crazy conversations, right?
I'm like, I did not need to know that information.
Right.
Like, women are not afraid, and women tend to be way more descriptive than men. Men are kind of broad strokes when they're describing things, like, yeah, she was hot. Like, okay. But women are like, yeah, and his abs did this thing, and, like, you could, like, see them through his shirt. Like, women are descriptive.
Yeah, very.
So there are times that I'm like, oh dear Lord. And it's funny, because Sue is a pastor's wife, and so we're like, don't say anything in front of Sue. Like, she will have an implosion. Like, this might kill her. Like, just don't say anything like that in front of her. And she's always like, yeah, she's like, and Rose never used to swear, but she does occasionally now, and I'm just like, I'm like, oh, Sue. I'm like, hon, we love you, but, like, you're bringing the vibe down. But yeah, no, women can be extremely inappropriate in, like, very,
Absolutely.
very crazy ways. But, anywho. So yeah, he's like, a wizard magic. He's like, it was for a thesis. But, like, if he did get his doctoral thesis, like, that means he's Dr. Jenkins.
That was the thing that, okay, so yeah. He said, where was it at? It was just right on this page, bro. And you had read it. Hold on. Give me a second. Am I looking at the wrong page?
I don't know. I don't know what you're looking for.
You had said it before. For his what he was studying, right? His doctoral, that's it.
Yeah.
Okay, he wrote his doctoral thesis on charms and spells, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if this is, like, real world, do they actually have, like, charms and spells?
I mean, you could probably get a doctorate degree in, like, I'm thinking, like, I mean, it would probably be more of, like, an anthropology sort of thing, or, like, a cultural studies sort of thing.
Think?
I mean, cultural studies are a thing. There are people that, like, study the practices of, like, I think it could totally be a thing. Like, occult studies or stuff like that, like, you know, from an anthropological point of view, makes sense. Tracks.
Yeah. But, like, then with him saying, like, you look as if you suspect me of working black magic, is that just then because, like, if magic isn't a thing in that reality? I don't know.
That one was kind of interesting. I feel like there's a little subtext there that's just kind of like some things hanging out there. There's like a sort of understanding.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it could just be that, you know, he's just like, she might think he's crazy and like he's trying to practice this like witchcraft and stuff, and she's like, bro's really insane, and he's just like, pfft. He's like, it's for studies, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think that's
it's just, I don't know, it was just odd, because I was just, yeah, confused by it. Also, I have a hydrate. Have you been hydrated, Rose?
Back in the beginning, Yoku did.
Have another one.
Why, thank you. Let's see. Well, you have it back.
Delicious oil. You've got the delicious tea. I do with motor oil, yep. Anyway.
Well, you have it back, Miss Angorian said briskly. Before you go, would you mind giving me my homework sheet in return? Photocopies cost money. Howl brought out the gray paper willingly and held it just out of reach. This poem now, he said. It's been bothering me. Silly, really, but I can't remember the rest of it. By Walter Raleigh, isn't it? Miss Angorian gave him a withering look. Certainly not. It's by John Donne, and it's very well known indeed. I have the book with it here, if you want to refresh your memory. Please, said Howl, and from the way his eyes followed Miss Angorian as she went to her wall of books, Sophie realized that this was the real reason why Howl had come to this strange land where his family lived. But Howl was not above killing two birds with one stone. Miss Angorian, he said, pleadingly, following her contours as she stretched for the book. Would you consider coming out for some supper with me tonight? Miss Angorian turned round with a large book in her hands, looking more severe than ever. I would not, she said. Mr. Jenkins, I don't know what you've heard about me, but you must have heard that I still consider myself engaged to Ben Sullivan. Never heard of him, said Howl. My fiancé, said Miss Angorian. He disappeared some years back. Now, do you wish me to read this poem out to you? Do that, said Howl, quite unrepentantly. You have such a lovely voice. So he's still flirting with her.
Yep.
Let's see.
Okay, but the person who's missing, I don't know if, okay, maybe I like, I'm looking too much into it. I don't know who Ben Sullivan is. But the other, wizard that they keep talking about who's missing throughout the book, right?
Suleiman?
Is there any chance that that's the same person, or is that just purely coincidence that people have been missing for years?
I don't know. You'll have to read the book.
I feel like it's not just coincidence.
Okay, so I'll start with the second verse. Miss Angorian said, "Since you have the first verse there in your hand." She read very well, not only melodiously, but in a way that made the second verse fit the rhythm of the first, in which Sophie's opinion on it did not do at all. So it's because it's a weird poem.
It's a really weird poem. It doesn't make sense to me still, but...
If thou beest born to strange sights, things invisible to see, ride 10,000 days and nights, till age snow white hairs on thee. Though when thou returnest, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. Like, it makes not one iota of sense.
Okay, it's like the second part to the poem that was about, like...
Yes. The
Hold on,
mermaids and...
Yeah, and that's why it
Yeah,
makes
I'm like...
no sense.
I'm like, bruh.
Hold on, where was the other poem?
I know, I'm like flipping through, I'm like, okay.
Like, putting this together, right?
Yeah.
Go and catch a falling star, get with child a mandrake root, tell me where all pastures are, or who cleft the devil's foot. Teach me to hear the mermaid singing, or to keep off envy's stinging, and find what wind serves to advance an honest mind. Decide what this is about. Write a second verse yourself. If thou beest born to strange sights, things invisible to see, ride 10,000 days and nights till age snow white hairs on thee. Thou, when thou returnst, will tell me all strange wonders that befall thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. If thou, like, I don't get it.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't get it.
I think we actually... Okay, so, this does come up in this chapter. Let's see. Howl had gone a terrible white. Sophie could see sweat standing on his face. "Thank you," he said. "Stop there. I won't trouble you for the rest. Even the good woman is untrue in the last verse, isn't she? I remember now. Silly of me. Don John, of course." Miss Angorian lowered the book and stared at him. He forced up a smile. "We must be going now. Sure you won't change your mind about the supper?" "I will not," said Miss Angorian. "Are you quite well, Mr. Jenkins?" In the pink, sorry, I was like reading up. In the
Phrase
pink.
or something as well.
Huh?
In the pink.
I think it means like he's good, like.
Okay.
And he hustled Michael and Sophie away, down the stairs, and into the horrible horseless carriage. The invisible watchers in the houses must have thought Miss Angorian had chased them with a saber, if they judged from the speed of which Howl packed them in and drove off. "What's the matter?" Michael asked as the carriage went roaring and grinding uphill again. And Sophie clung to bits of seat for her dear life. Howl pretended not to hear, so Michael waited until Howl was locking it into its shed and asked again. "Oh, nothing," Howl said airily, leading the way back to the yellow house called Rivendell. That's interesting, because that's what, in Lord of the Rings, that's, I think, the city of elves. The Witch of the Waste has caught up with me, with her curse, that's all. Bound to happen sooner or later. He seemed to be calculating or doing sums in his head while he opened the garden gate. 10,000, Sophie heard him murmuring. That brings it to about Midsummer Day. "What is it brought to Midsummer Day?" asked Sophie. "The time I'll be 10,000 days. So 10,000 days is about 27.
I was gonna ask how.
Yeah, I did the math.
Days?
I did the math. It's about 27. Okay. "And that, Mrs. Nose," he said, swinging into the garden of Rivendell, "is the day I shall have to go back to the Witch of the Waste." Sophie and Michael hung back on the path, staring at Howl's back, so mysteriously labelled Welsh rugby. "If I keep clear of mermaids," they heard him mutter, "and don't touch a mandrake root." Michael called out, "Do we have to go back in that house?" And Sophie called, "What will the witch do?" "I shudder to think," Howl said. "You don't have to go back in, Michael. He opened the wavy door. Inside was the familiar room of the castle. Calcifer's sleepy flames were coloring the walls faintly blue-green in the dusk. Howl flung back his long sleeve and gave Calcifer a log. She caught up, old Blueface, he said. I know, said Calcifer. I felt it take. I don't know what he meant by he said I felt it take, but... So, Howl... What was that?
Go ahead.
So Howl obviously believes that this is about him.
Yeah.
So, because and it actually oddly makes sense. If thou beest born to strange sights, things invisible to see. So, Howl, being a wizard born in our world, probably saw a lot of things that he wasn't necessarily supposed to. And who knows, he might actually be like it's like, how did he end up in the magical realm? Obviously, had to happen some way. So he was probably born seeing things and being born in a strange place. Right. Ride 10,000 days and nights till age snow white hairs on thee. So, like, Howl's only like in his late 20s.
He's gonna get gray hair.
But I kind of thought maybe that's why he's obsessed with coloring his hair.
Honestly, it makes sense. He's trying to avoid, like, his hair turning...
Yeah, turning white. When thou returnest, wilt tell me all strange wonders that befell thee, and swear nowhere lives a woman true and fair. So, that part I don't quite understand.
Yeah.
So, returning to someone, to a woman, and he's gonna have to, like, tell them everything that happened. But, so Howl obviously believes that this is about him. So then he's talking about, like, like, if I avoid mermaids and, like, don't touch a mandrake root, like, he's trying to figure a way out of this scenario he believes he's in.
And that's also, like, the fact that he, Calcifer, oh my gosh, words. Calcifer before had said that he caught a falling star at one point, which also has to do with it. In some way that I still don't quite understand, but it's got something there.
Yeah, there were a lot of interesting things happening in these chapters. Miss Angorian.
For Calcifer saying I felt it take, okay, that was another thing with, like, didn't he mention something like that with the Scarecrow?
See,
or he said something similar to that about, like, the Scarecrow.
See, and I don't
whenever
know.
it was chasing them.
Well, that it was, like, holding him back. But, like, I don't know what it meant. Like, felt it take. Like, what? Like, I don't know what he means.
I feel like something with, like, I obviously have no clue, but I feel like it's something with, like, magic.
Well, yeah.
And, like, kind of like how I'm trying to find that part with the Scarecrow again.
Maybe, like, a spell's been enacted or something?
Yeah, something basically has happened or something, and he's felt the spell, you know.
Something of the sort.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that brings us to the end of chapter 11. I really enjoy these chapters. Like I said, I have really so many sticky notes about the hints.
I can't wait to know all of the hints throughout the entire book whenever I finally understand.
Like, there's that one, and that one, and that one.
I'm sitting here like, I just want to know. Oops, dropped my phone.
Okay, so we'll need to figure out how exactly we're going to tackle the rest of the chapters. If we want to do more streams and shorter reads, or if we want to do fewer streams and longer reads. So we'll need to.
But yeah.
We'll need to figure
chat
out
about that
details,
real quick.
But
yeah.
But yeah. Was there anything else that, like, stood out, or anything that might have brought more questions, or?
Not really. I think we hit all of as we went through it.
Yeah.
We usually hit all of the questions that I have. My only thing is, what was the hint? That's all I want to know. I just want to know what the hint
Like,
was.
he said there was a hint!
It drives me crazy because, like, even going through it again as we were, like, talking about it, I was reading and I'm like, where is this hint at? I was trying to find it, but I don't know what it's hinting towards, which is the problem.
The only
I'm like
reason...
Sophie here. I have no clue what's going on.
The only reason is, like, I've already read the book and seen the movie, so, like, I know what's going on, and that's the only reason I'm seeing it. If this was like, when I first read the book, it, like, I didn't catch as many. And now I'm like, oh. I'm like, there it is.
And of course, rereading it after you know what you're looking for, it makes a lot more sense.
So it's like,
okay. I'm going in blind and not having a clue as to what I'm looking for. So I'm like, could it be this one word that is the hint? And I'm like on the totally wrong track.
Yeah, there were several. I think there were like 3 or 4, just in these couple chapters.
Seriously?
Yeah.
There were more than just like...
Oh, yeah.
I was looking for one.
Oh, yeah, no, there were...
Yeah,
Some of them are not direct hints, but it's certain behaviors that, like, lead towards that, like, knowing about that. It's like, oh, that's why.
Yep, makes sense. Is fair.
But I think that is going to be it. So we will be back.
Alrighty. We will post in Discords when we will be back.
We will try to, because it's the 3rd is the first Saturday, which we have never in the history of this actually been on when we were supposed to. So
only the first stream. The first stream was right.
And then after that, never again.
After that, never again. So we'll figure out the next day that we do, you guys, and we'll post it in Discord and hopefully be, accurate on it next time.
But
we'll try our best.
With that, thank you everyone so much for watching. I will be streaming tomorrow an episode of my Discord Members' Choice, so be on the lookout for that. But
yes,
audio...
you guys, shout out, hold on, shout
out. No, don't.
Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Shush.
I'm going to type this. Island Rose 1743.
I don't
if
need
you're
a
not,
shout out.
Too bad you're getting one. If you're not following Rose already, go and drop her a follow because she is an amazing streamer. Oh my gosh, I can't. Highland Rose
words.
1743. Words, I can say them.
It's like me trying to read today.
Oh my gosh, please let me type this command. There we go. Invalid username, bruh. Okay, well, anyway, I got the one shout out there. I didn't get the other shout out there. It wasn't letting me do it. But, yes, go and drop her a follow. She's amazing, you guys. And she streams all week, and she does super fun streams with tons of, like, fun games. You've been playing a lot of Nightingale.
I've been obsessed with Nightingale lately.
Love it.
Oh, it's so good.
I loved watching it. I'm sad. All this last week, I've been so busy in the evenings, I haven't been able to catch her streams, and it makes me so sad. But,
I've been playing a lot of Nightingale.
I love it, but she plays a ton of cozy games. She streams. I know Monday you stream in the morning and in the evening.
Yes.
But
yes.
Evening streams. So definitely go catch her streams because she's wonderful and amazing. So.
And likewise, if anybody was watching on mine, audio's great and amazing and wonderful. She streams for a lot longer than I do.
No life.
Hours and hours.
No
of
live
streaming.
streams. Stream way too much.
Well, I'm sitting in the office going, I want to go home. Audio's playing video games. But
all the video games. By the way, hold on. See, Alex. Even though you don't raid, do you want us to raid? I mean, we could probably go raid. Also, hello, Ren. Thank you for the lurk. Khan is celebrating his follower goal. Did we go and raid Khan? With the 24-hour... Oh, is he doing 24 hours right now?
Oh, jeez. That's insane.
You know what? Do you want to go raid Khan?
I mean, I guess. I'm not...
Go raid Khan.
I don't really have, like, people watching, but sure. Let's see.
That's fine. We raid. We go raid.
Twitch. Okay. Stream manager. Okay. Once again, thank you everyone so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be back tomorrow. But until then, I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. And we are going to go raid Khan. Khan just had 400. Yeah, Colin just
Wait. Let's get. Hold on. I want to get a message for. Let's do like congrats. From the book cast for 400 followers. I can type thing.
Anywho.
Got you. Thank you, Alex.
Okay. Well, we are
Sorry, I'm getting a raid message set up.
I'm just gonna go raid, but...
Fair enough.
Okay. Bye!
Bye!